Hello happy souls, welcome back to my channel. This is Charlotte with Happy Twins 1111 and I have been so excited about uploading this video. Have you seen my new intro? I love it so much. Thank you to Dan and Natasha that created this absolutely beautiful piece for me. I'm so excited to use it on my channel. There's also a cool outro. Tell me what you think in the comments. It really is exciting. Anyway, today we're asking, why did you have to go through this? And I know this isn't an easy topic, but for those of you that are on the self-healing path, it is a really helpful one because we all suffer. It's something that we all have in common. We all go through really tough experiences. And often because we resent those experiences, we wish they hadn't happened, we carry regret and so many ill-dignified feelings connected to them. It's very hard for us to actually put them to bed and move on. And they become part of who we are. They distort our ability to communicate and have healthy relationships. And so understanding the why, processing the lessons that were contained within those experiences is so helpful. It's really something that can help us move forward and I guess just be happier, you know, just let the pain go. So hopefully you will enjoy this today and find it really useful. You have 3 piles to choose from. In pile number 1, you've got the seahorse, this beautiful ametrine, and for this pile we will be using the Tarot of the Divine. Now pile 1, if you choose this one, right at the end I almost forgot to include your final card, so I say goodbye, see you later, and then I tagged it on right at the end, so make sure you go back and watch that. For pile number 2 we've got the elephant and the aura coated quartz. For this one we've got the Hide Tarot. This is the creation of Dan, the lovely chap who also helped create my intro. Pile number 3 we've got the puppy, the aura coated rose quartz moon, and the Chrysalis tarot. And for pile number 4, we've got the deer with the charoite star, and this lovely deck, the white Numen tarot. So remember, take your time choosing. There is no right or wrong way. You can pause the video and douse over it, just see which crystal or card you're drawn to the most. If you are drawn to more than one pile, it means there may be messages in more than one pile for you. The timestamps are in the description box below, and I will see you there. Hello pile 1, welcome to your reading. You have chosen the seahorse, the ametrine, and the Tarot of the Divine. And today we're asking, why did you have to go through this? And if you skipped the intro, you know, everyone suffers. We all suffer. No one gets out alive without suffering. We all experience, you know, being hurt, being heartbroken. We experience so many harsh realities whilst we're alive. It's the one thing we all have in common. And every experience we have teaches us something about ourselves, about other people. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it does strengthen our heart. The challenge is always to keep an open, centered heart, regardless of what happens. And that's really tough to do when we've been hurt, when we've suffered. So we cling on to feelings like bitterness, resentment, anger, rejection, grief. You know, so many harsh emotions that we don't process and that linger and distort everything that comes next. So this is the reading in which we find out, you know, why you had to go through it, so that you can just process the learning that was available. You can get the uplifting and comforting guidance you need to move forward, to finally resolve or heal whatever is hurting your heart. Let's see what's coming through for you, pile 1. Whilst I'm shuffling, take a moment to think of a sign. Remember, a sign can be anything at all. You could pick an animal or an object, something from nature. It could be a word, a place, a name, a sequence of numbers. There's no right or wrong. Trust whatever pops into your head first. That's Spirit's way of letting you know that you're seen and heard. Don't forget to make a note in the comments of which pile you've watched today, because YouTube will recommend this video to you again, because you're only watching a fraction of it. And so when it pops up again, you'll know not to watch the same one again. And thank you for hitting the like button and subscribing. Yay, that means we can be friends. So let's do this. We're going to use the oracle cards as well, and we're using the charm bowl, but we're going to start with the tarot. They've had a really good shuffle. I do work with reversals. I trust that they're going to tell the story as it needs to be told. So I want to draw cards first to understand the context of this suffering. What was it that you actually went through? And then we'll look at the why you had to go through it. First card out, the Nine of Swords in reverse. The High Priestess. Justice in reverse. The Moon in reverse. And Temperance. This is such a beautiful deck. Let's clarify these. The Seven of Wands. That's clarifying the Nine of Swords in reverse. The King of Pentacles. Clarifying the High Priestess. Justice in reverse, clarifying the Two of Wands in reverse. The Moon in reverse, clarifying the Star. And Temperance, I've got a frog in my throat, clarified by Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Let's get some oracle cards as well. Okay, I'm going to start with this deck. This one was actually a gift. And I always keep the little notes from Amazon. This one was from Nikia. Thank you, Nikia. If you would like to donate a deck, it does help to keep my readings fresh. You can find my Amazon wishlist down below. I'm always so grateful. It's always such a treat to receive a new deck. I forgot to show you the box of this one. Oracle of Seven Energies. It's a really cool deck. Okay. First card, Feeling the World. Beautiful uncaging. Spirit of gratitude. And seeing beyond. Okay, and from the Spirit Animal Oracle. Flamingo Spirit. And Otter Spirit. You are never alone. That's beautiful. Okay, we'll get more as we go. You are a very strong person, Pole One. I feel like you grew up in an environment where there was no calm or harmonious conflict resolution. There was a lot of narcissistic behaviors around you. At least one very dysregulated parent, probably two. And it just feels like neither of them knew how to emotionally nourish you. Neither of them knew how to deal with your sensitivities. And because you were the only person calling out this dysfunction, you kind of became the scapegoat. You know, you were the one everyone picked on. You are certainly a highly sensitive, highly empathic person. And you were taught to repress all of your issues, your concerns, your feelings, your grievances. You know, it was like you were stripped of a voice. If you dared to speak out, you were shot down at every angle. And it feels like your parents would have sided with the other people just to spite you. It's like there's a competitive energy to that. I want to say with the mother wound, you know, they weren't parented in a loving and nourishing way. And so they found it very difficult not only to be able to do that for you, but also there was like a weird jealousy there. Well, I didn't have it, why should you? And that also further twisted and bent out of shape this, the viciousness and spite with which their communication and actions and behaviors were delivered. When the Nine of Swords comes up in reverse, though, it shows us someone that despite the stress, despite the anxiety, the tension and everything, you know, they don't lean in to the darkest shadow aspect of it. It's like you could kind of just keep your head above the water every time. And this is why I say you're so strong, because you certainly have been building boundaries. You know, this this experience you had of being highly intuitive, highly connected, you know, it caused you to just long for a stable partner and a life of your own. You were somehow always able to recognize and identify with that dysfunction that was happening. And you knew from a very young age that you did not want to live like that. You know, you used to daydream about and visualize and imagine the kind of life you would have. And you had these beautiful intentions. I'm really drawn to how this High Priestess is reading. I feel like you found so much comfort in books and, you know, the loving and happy stories of other people. That gave you an insight into how families could function, how relationships could happen, how people could hold and support one another. And so you really did lean into your heart. You allowed yourself to trust in a better world, a better way of being, and you dreamed of that partner, that provider, protector that you would build that life with. We can see that with justice in reverse, that there was a palpable sense of unfairness when you were growing up. You know, you had a very keen sense of right and wrong, and you could identify, even as a very young child, when your parents and the other adults around you were behaving in ways which weren't okay. But you had no power in that. You know, as children, we are powerless, and powerlessness is a very scary energy to be in when the people around you aren't propping things up and creating the energy in the way that they're meant to, in the way that's heart-centered. And so what we're seeing happening is that sense of powerlessness has been, I want to say, harnessed in a very assertive, very dominant, very controlling way. That's to say, you've kind of had to overcompensate from being highly sensitive and in a powerless and brutal environment. You've had to just be really firm. It's kind of, even though your heart is still soft and gooey, you've developed this very tough exterior, this very defensive exterior. And, you know, you don't trust people easily, even though you have this optimistic and faithful heart. I find that people that grow up in these circumstances, they go one of two ways. Either they continue being victims and, you know, being very weak and vulnerable and people pleasing, or they become too tough. They become defensive, intimacy avoidant, hard to get close to. You know, one is the fawn kind of response, and the other one is flight. And it feels like you leaned into the harder edges. You leaned into being tough. You leaned into keeping people at arm's length. But you're healing this now. We can see that you're seeking to balance and harmonize these parts of yourself. I do think it has challenged your material world, because in your career, we're seeing this toughness, this prickliness, this defensiveness, and also how soft and gooey your emotional body is, means that you do still sometimes react with intensity, because your emotions will rise up and kind of, you know, disturb your inner peace. And so your kind of tough energy can sometimes be too tough, too cutting, too harsh. It feels like you struggle to maintain that equilibrium. And so there is all of this energy beneath it, this emotional pain that you have carried for the longest time. You know, it's like a heavy weight on your back that you just drag around with you. I feel like it has affected relationships in your life as well. I'm hearing that there have been, you know, long-term connections, but whenever you let your guard down and your vulnerabilities come through, you find yourself so painfully attached to a person that you almost allow that dysfunction to be tolerated when you see it. And so even though you were so cautious and careful, you have unwittingly found that you're attracted to people that repeat those cycles that you experienced in childhood. They end up being narcissistic or cold or even malicious at times. And, you know, you just, like when I feel into it with my heart, it's just wanting to meet someone who matches your heart center, who matches that energy within you. And I do think you found that, and yet they still behaved in ways which weren't Right, and so you felt so badly let down. I'm looking at how this star looks like such a youthful energy, and this little girl is just cradling this lamb, and she's in this dark forest, but she's wishing on that North Star. And I really get this palpable energy of that wounded inner child that just wants to be loved. That's the part of you that aches. That's the part of you that hurts. As an adult, you've become like that overprotective helicopter mother to yourself. But then when you actually get into the relationship, it's like it's all abandoned and you betray yourself just like your own mother betrayed you. It's such a vicious cycle for you, and it's one that has caused you so much pain. So we really need to unpack the whys, and we really need to figure out, you know, how you can finally heal and resolve this within you. You can see here just how sensitive you are, feeling the world. And this is death energy. You know, this is number 13. This is rebirth. It's a feeling. Death is Scorpio, and Scorpio has access to the full range of emotions. It literally feels everything, you know, and that's incredibly hard when you are going through a period of suffering, especially when it's in childhood, when you're in that state of powerlessness. You know, it's time to set yourself free, pile 1. It's so interesting to me that that's 13 and then 14, the card that comes after. You know, that's the energy of temperance. So the beautiful uncaging, this is about bringing that harmony back, releasing yourself from those wounds of the past, you know, leaning into gratitude and trusting that everything that happened to you happened for a reason. We're going to get the whys. But, you know, I think gratitude, it's so hard sometimes to look at the really painful circumstances we have been through and actually feel grateful for them, especially when we're still living in the shadow of those experiences. I can only speak for myself when I say, hands on my heart, I can look back at every tough thing I went through and be grateful for it, you know, because it has brought me to where I am today. It's made me the person I am today. Was it hard? Hell yes. It was hell on earth at times, but it means that I got to see beyond. You know, the healing that was required to bring myself back into balance has actually helped me be more conscious and more present, not just with myself, but with this reality, with others. It's helped me live in a more heart-centered way. People that feel so deeply as you have, you know, these are the kind of people that can really change the world because they're evolving. They're showing us that they took that pain and they transmuted it into something good. That's real power, power you possess in abundance. And so you've got to remember that little girl that dreamed of a beautiful future where everyone just got along and no one was mean and everyone was kind to one another. You know, that heart has become heavy. It's become bitter. It's become so angry. And also the stress and fury that you feel for what happened as a child is projected at the people you have relationships with because they're mirroring that experience. You're still reliving it over and over again because you need to process it. Embrace the in-between. You know, that's what happens when one experience closes and another begins. And remember, we're in the shadow of the 1010 portal, which is ending of cycles and beginning of new ones. When we're in that in-between stage, it's like the 9.5 energy, isn't it? 9.5 before 10, before 0, when it all resets. You know, in that in-between stage, we have an opportunity to expand beyond our current awareness. And that will mean that the next cycle is going to be different, perhaps even only slightly if we've only expanded slightly, but we get to choose how much we expand. And so when you think of it in terms of healing, we can go around in circles, or we can see each time the bigger picture. You know, seeing beyond. That in-between time is the point at which you heal. Here it's number 26. That's the High Priestess, the Lovers, and Infinity number 8, which reminds you of that infinite cycle of growth and healing. And you are never alone. pile 1. I know it feels that way, but this is about remembering what you have access to. 4 is about stability, dominion, and 2 is the High Priestess. That's a powerful reminder that you will find that inner security and peace through your emotional, intuitive experience, rather than leaning out of it and just trying to be tough and strong. I want to bring this card up. This is the Knight of Cups, the one you chose. The Knight of Cups is about our emotional maturing. In the tarot, in the traditional image, we see a knight holding his cup and he's walking towards a river, ready to cross the river, holding his cup out. And so this represents and is symbolic of the energy of being able to give and receive with an open heart and to cross the depths of our emotion, to allow ourselves that vulnerability. They're on a horse, which represents freedom. You know, emotional power, resilience, control, the ability to emotionally self-regulate, that is your freedom. You know, so you need to now do the growing up that you couldn't do when you were a child because it wasn't safe. And the higher self, well, it's not your higher self, the mind self that is parenting you right now, the inner mother, the inner parent, is a carbon copy of the mother you had. The way you were spoken to as a child is deeply ingrained into your psyche, and you spit it back at yourself when that emotion is triggered again by what's coming through from your partners. So, you know, you are ready to heal this. Let's get some more cards. Why? Let's learn more about why. The Four of Wands in reverse. The Queen of Pentacles in reverse. That's so fascinating that she's come up here because we've got the King there. The Wheel of Fortune. The Lovers. And we're in the energy of the Wheel of Fortune right now. That's front and center. And the Queen of Swords. This is such a beautiful deck. All right, let's clarify these. The Six of Cups in reverse. Clarifying the Four of Wands in reverse. The Queen of Pentacles in reverse clarifies the Ten of Wands in reverse. The Wheel of Fortune clarified by the Five of Swords in reverse. The Lovers clarified by the Five of Wands, so 2 fives. And the Queen of Swords is clarified by the King of Wands in reverse. Okay, I'm going to get some of these cards. These are the Whispers of Love cards. True love. This is once in a lifetime. What beautiful energy. Take a chance on love. Speak the language of love. Wow. And act as if your partner is here. Okay. The Elemental Oracle. Focus, and that's leopard energy. And protection. Okay, so that dream you had when you were a child, this energy, look how she's dipping her toes in the water. She's clutching this lamb, which is a symbol of innocence, manifestation, fertility. It's the energy of creation of all life. And the star is about wishing. It's about manifesting. It's about dreaming that new future into being. So that little girl and that dream, I say little girl, you could have been a little boy. I'm just a little girl on the card. That dream that you had, you have to bring it to life. This is how you're meant to live. But what's happened over the years is that you have gradually lost more and more faith. Because it's not showed up in your life in the way that you envisaged, in the way that you felt and knew your heart was capable of. You've become more and more tired and more angry and more twisted and resentful, more and more assertive and tough. You try to control your environment and your relationships more and more as time has gone on, trying to make them something that felt like that dream. And that control came across not in a coercive way, not in telling your partner they can or can't do this, but in trying to convince them who they were supposed to be. You know, you can't treat me like that. You have to be like this, then that. When you say or do blah, 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 it hurts. I need you to do X, Y, Z instead. You've been trying to convince them this whole time, all of them, why they're so wrong. You know, you're always the voice of reason because you do feel so deeply what is out of shape in those connections and their behavior. But there's one vital thing that you've not paid attention to, part one. And that's that these people were showing you who they were all along. And you can't change them. That was never your job or your responsibility. Your pure heart saw in them the purity that exists in everyone. We're all born pure. We're all born with light in our hearts and the capacity for big, big love. And you can feel that in people. You see that light in people. And that's, you know, when it's reflected in you, that's when you fall in love. You recognize that connection in someone. But that's not enough to build a safe and healthy relationship because not everyone can stay in that energy. Not everyone knows how to live in their hearts. And lots of people that have been hurt act out. You know, their behaviors are distorted by the weight of that pain. You know what that feels like, just in different ways. You know, but when someone shows you who they are, you have to believe them. You have to pay attention. And so you might remember those times as a child when your own parents couldn't stand up for you, couldn't defend you, couldn't protect you, maybe even would, you know, create even more challenge with the perpetrator. Yeah, it's your fault, blaming everything on you, making situations worse. This is what you do to yourself. You internalize the behavior of your partners and you think it's because of you, because you did something wrong, because you didn't communicate it properly. It's your job. Maybe if I explain it to them in a better way, they will be able to see, you know, what you didn't do is stand up for yourself and say, hey, no, it's just a straight no. I'm not going to hang around for this. It's not my job to explain why. My only job is to remove myself from an unsafe situation, not to try and convince anyone to treat me right. They've already shown me that they can't. That's what a loving parent does. They say, if they see a kid beating you up or being really mean to you, they drag you away from that situation. Don't even talk to that person. Don't be around people like that. This person has shown you that they cannot be trusted, that they behave unpleasantly. It's actually nothing to do with you. You can't change it. It's all their problem. I'm sorry you had to go through that. That's the healthy cycle of parental protection. And you never had that. You stood and you fought and you tried to win hearts and minds. You tried to reason, you know, because you were always up against it. You were the only person that was trying to speak the truth. And you wanted so badly for everyone else to feel the truth and the love in your heart. You may be experiencing a divine connection now because we start with the Four of Wands in reverse. The energies here are undoubtedly connected to some kind of divine partnership, but you have slowly lost faith in that. You've lost faith in the potential for healthy, beautiful, real love. And because you're assuming that someone that can treat you that way doesn't exist and that perhaps you're not built for it, perhaps you don't even deserve it, perhaps you're not worth it. Sometimes you felt cursed. You know, this has really caused you to lean out of your spiritual practice because you can't reconcile that the universe, your spirit guides would challenge you this much. You know, we've got the Lovers here with the Five of Wands, challenge, conflict. Why would the universe do this to me? If this was a divine connection, why would it be so damn hard? You know, a lot of religious and spiritual people struggle with that. Why would we suffer? If there was a God, why do we suffer? But remember, suffering is about learning. And you have an opportunity this time to spiral out of that. You have to restore your faith. There will be a reunion. If we turn all of these reverse cards upright, which reveal where the blockages are, what an incredible flow of loving energy. You know, we've got true love. Take a chance on love. Speak the language of love. Act as if your partner is here. Now, this is a very important energy because this is about you recognizing your power and potential to meet all of your needs. And if you're experiencing a divine connection, a twin flame connection, then, or any soulmate connection, we've got the Six of Cups here, which is also a soulmate energy. It's about reunion. So look at these beautiful energies. We've got Radha and Krishna, the Hindu twins. We've got these are children, and that's why it's about reunion. Six of Cups is always someone from your past. So this is someone you've already met, already had a relationship with. You probably know in your heart who it is, but you've lost faith, you've let go. You've decided that the universe simply would not put you through this. But this was always for your greater good. This was always for your evolving. You know, it was purposeful. Sometimes we have to go through the eye of the storm to get where we need to go the most swiftly. You know, a spiritual path isn't necessarily a gilded path. It's not necessarily meant to be easy. In fact, I think most people on this path will tell you it most certainly is not. The Queen of Pentacles in reverse, clarified by the Ten of Wands. This is you having released even the idea that you need or want commitment. You've kind of got to a stage in your life where you've thought, you know what, I'm better on my own, but it still hurts you. You're not really. That's a story that you're telling yourself because you don't want to face the weight of it anymore. The Wheel of Fortune again, a cycle of change is approaching. You know, can you resolve this conflict within you? We see with the Five of Swords in reverse that it isn't resolved. If you face it, you move into Six of Swords energy, which is moving on from the storm, moving into calmer waters. You know, the Queen of Swords is that desire to be in your mind, to reject your intuitive mastery, your intuitive power, to lead from the mind with, look how angry she looks. And defensive. She's got her sword up in front of her. You know, she's like, yeah, come at me, bitch. Let's see what happens. You just give that a try. You know, I really think that that represents just how prickly your energy can be at times. And the King of Wands in reverse, you know, that's your spiritual mastery. It's your power to transform through that intuitive awareness, which you have by the bucket load. You were always meant to be in true love. This love is once in a lifetime. That energy that you knew as a child is real. Believe in it. Take a chance. When we love, our lives are changed forever. You can see this is a journey. They're in this stormy ocean, but this portal of light invites them forward. And there's two people here. And that's where the flow is guiding them towards the portal. The colors represent healing. There's a very cosmic energy here as well. This is number 23, the energy of the High Priestess and the Empress, the energy of divine creation through that intuitive awareness. You know, you are being asked if you can find that love in your heart. If this is a twin flame connection or a soulmate connection, especially those that you feel like you cannot let go of no matter how hard you try. Connections like that are always teaching us that separation is an illusion. The love we feel for others is just part of our state of being because technically we are all one. You know, the universe is just unity consciousness. And so we're born into this reality feeling so separate from everyone, so alone. Can you see beyond this? Whether you have someone in your life as not or not, act as if they are with you, so you will always consider them. And that means considering the energy that's available to you through that conscious interaction, not the physical. The physical world is the part that's an illusion. When you lean into your quantum awareness, and you remember that you are just energy and love, you can find it all there. You are meant to share this. Speak the language of love. Loving words have the power to change lives, including your own. And look at this. This is children again. You believed this when you were a child, even though you saw no evidence of it. You know, you believed that. You knew as a child that if only everyone could just love each other and be loving when they have this conflict, when they have these challenges, the world would be a better place. You knew that. You felt that purity, that innocence, that desire for unity and love within yourself. But you were hardened by your experience. You became cynical. You found it difficult to always speak from love because you were hurting. And so can you now see that all the people that hurt you are just hurting too? You know, just as you haven't been able to speak only love, they struggle with that too. Everyone's on a spectrum of struggling to live in love, struggling to live in their hearts. But you always felt that so big. You always knew that you had that infinite potential for love. You know, you're being asked to lean into that, to focus on that, you know, to move through the storm. Winter is about rebirth as well. It's about that new beginning. We have to have the ending. We have to go to ground so we can be reborn again. You know, focus on why you are here. Spirit is not punishing you. You may have thought that you were cursed or hexed or everything's unfair. You know, this tree will always cast a shadow. We are both light and dark. And look at all these triggers. They illuminate your world. They show you where those shadow aspects are. You know, can you accept that the experience you had, both as a child and through your relationships, was always for you? It was always happening for you so that you could mature in the way you needed to. Because you couldn't do that in the home as a child. Your growth was stunted. But now you have that in-between space where you can mother and parent yourself and evolve and spiral out of this cycle. You're a cycle breaker. You know, let's get some more deeper guidance for you, and I think some charms as well. Right, I'm going to go with this deck. This is the Enchanted Blossoms Tarot. No, Oracle even. The Enchanted Blossoms Oracle. Friendship. That's a beautiful card. The flower is freesia. Tranquility, stone crop. Bravery, oak leaves and acorns. And courage, mullein, purple shot copper. And let's get some more animals. So from the spirit animal deck. Lion spirit, to be generous of spirit. So lions are always about strength of heart. Koala spirit. And I'm going to get some more tarot cards as well. So that's the Three of Wands in reverse. And the Two of Pentacles in reverse. One more. And the World in reverse. And finally, from the Rumi Oracle, and this one was also a gift. This was from Sam Beards. Thank you, Sam. This is such a beautiful deck. We're going to read this one straight from the book because Rumi is just magnificent. She offers a sacred wine, so drink, number 32. I will say as well, Alana Fairchild decks for personal divination. You know, I use these for myself because I can lean into the book for the guidance. So when I'm struggling to tune into my own intuition, these are such beautiful messages. She's an incredible writer. Right, let's get some charms as well. Okay, let's see what we've got here. It's too peeply outside. Burn bright, the matchbox. Magic is real. Nothing to lose. Love. No idea. That's Jesus. I saw that. crescent moon, and the dead battery. Okay. I really feel like sometimes you can grasp the truth of what I'm saying. You've kind of made sense of it intellectually. The challenge is actually becoming how to release those energies, how to make peace with it. I'm hearing in particular the family situation still tugs at you because there's a part of you that still longs for, you know, the parental relationships to transform. And so even though you've learned to set boundaries, which I'm hearing can be a bit too fierce at times, not necessarily with family, but in all areas of your life, you know, sometimes they're very firm. But you still have this energy of trying to explain yourself, trying to justify why you're right and they're wrong and what they need to do instead. It's so exhausting for you. You know, I just feel like you are constantly feeling like you are powerless to change it. It's that same powerlessness that you felt as a child. No matter which angle you approach things from, you can never quite find what you feel are the right words. And so it's always you that ends up feeling like you failed, like you're taking ultimate responsibility for whether other people grow. And you just don't need to do that. Lean into your friendships. There's a message here about recognizing that you create your own family, and that I feel you're very insular with your friends. You know, you like to have a good time with them. You can hold space for them, but you don't always reveal, you know, your own hardships in the way that I think a lot of them could really help you with. You know, you're very generous when it comes to being strong and present for others, but you're not very good at asking for help. You're not very good at revealing your own vulnerabilities. And, you know, I think you have a very good radar when it actually comes to people's true intentions. You've learned that you don't because of the romantic relationships you've had, but you've got to remember that love is always a risk, and that's okay. It doesn't mean we shouldn't take the risk. You were never wrong. Those relationships were magnetized to you so you could keep learning. You know, that was Spirit's plan. She hasn't healed from this yet. She hasn't seen those patterns. She's not broke those cycles. Okay, let's go in for round 2 and round 3 and round 4. And I keep saying she, it's force of habit. I'm really sorry. But, you know, ultimately, you have to keep going through this until you expand out of it. And your friendships are going to be a way in which you can process this energy with support and get some of that community loving consciousness flowing again, helping you rebuild trust, how to open your heart in both directions. Lion energy is about strengthening of heart. Remember, that's why you're here. Peace is so important to you, and you have to start commanding it for yourself. Nothing is more important than that. You know, for one, you need to choose your battles. You know, stop bickering with the family. Stop telling them why they're wrong. Instead, allow that behavior to dictate how your boundaries look. That might mean we speak on once in a while on the phone briefly, but I'm too busy to be in your company. It might mean that you only ever meet them on neutral territory where you know you can get away quickly if things kick off. You know, don't invite them into your home where it's going to be really challenging to get them to leave if you're uncomfortable. This is about you showing up and being that parent. You know, your parent wouldn't leave you at war in the midst of a battle. They see you're struggling, they're getting you the hell out of there. That's what a loving parent does. You need to start doing this for yourself, choosing peace. You know, you don't have to grind every gear. You know, when people show you they are idiots, that they are unevolved, that they are emotionally immature, just step away. You know, give yourself that peace. You've earned it. I know that it's hard to move forward, but you are so strong. You are so brave. This acorn seed, you know, I feel like this is allowing yourself to plant yourself, to put down roots, to really recognize your strength. Look at the oak tree that showed up for us there, you know, and courage. You were built in a way that not only could withstand everything that you've been through, but that would ultimately thrive from it. 3 of Wands is about fulfillment. Look at her ascending here, even though she's fleeing that dark, haunted looking castle in the background. But this is reversed. You know, you are descending. You're not recognizing your power to climb up, to evolve, to grow. The Two of Pentacles is refusing to embrace that change. And here we see that beautiful mother energy, that parent energy holding their babies. You know, this is what you're meant to be doing for you. You're going to keep cycling around this. The world is about completion. It's the end of a cycle. Only you can close the cycle. The universe can't close it for you. You know, you're being reminded that you came from love. You still exist in love, and you will always return to love. Bring back that love that was in your heart as a child. Allow it to overflow from you. You know, you have the capacity to burn bright. You can change the world. That magic is real. Your childhood self wasn't wrong. You know, lean into your intuition. You don't need a lot of people. You know, you need to learn how to conserve and protect your own energy. Keep going, because you've got nothing to lose in trying. Nothing to lose at all. You mustn't ever fear loving again. You know, your spirit guides know how hard you've worked. They know how far you've come. But you've got to learn how to take that charge for yourself, rather than allowing yourself to be drained by all of these painful relationships that just seem to, you know, you go round in circles. It's time for you to take back control from the point at which you actually have power, which is you. You have no power to change anyone else. Change is really hard. You're still struggling to transform yourself, but you know how to speak the language of love, Pile 1. You need to start speaking it to yourself. I'm going to take this over to the extended now. I want to know more about this divine connection, and I want to get more guidance around that specifically, and definitely more practical healing guidance. So if you would like to join me over there and this has resonated, the link is down below. But thank you so much for joining me here. I'm sending you so much love. I believe in you, Pile 1. You are such a strong person. You are so emotionally resilient. Now it's time to soften, to step back into that strength of heart, to let love speak for you. You know, you can say to someone, I really love you, but the way you're behaving is not safe or comfortable for me to show up for right now. You know, that's all. That's all you need to say. You don't have to tell someone why they're being a dickhead. Why you can't be around them beyond that. You don't have to tell them how they should be. You can just express how you feel, set that boundary and go. You know, keep it simple. And when someone triggers you, learn to breathe deep and don't let those emotions carry you into the storm again. Breathe deep, think of your peace. I'm just going to remove myself from this. This has nothing to do with me. This is someone else expressing their shadow, because they haven't yet learned how to speak that language of love. But you have. You've always known it. Bring it back. You know, lean into your heart and grab it. I'm rooting for you, sending you so much love, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to check out my website at happysouls1111.com. You can book readings with me there. You can book classes and find meditations, lots of cool stuff. I will see you there. You can also find me on Instagram at happysouls1111. Please beware of scammers. My real Instagram handle is always down below. I will never direct message you soliciting readings. There's lots of them on Instagram at the moment. Please beware. See you next time. Love you lots. Bye. Pile 1, I've just realised I haven't read this card for you, so I'm tagging this onto the end of your pile. Hopefully you won't have switched off and you'll notice it. Here we go. So you chose, she offers the sacred wine, so drink. And it says, O wine giver of enlightened hearts, offer me the wine of your kindness, for this is the reason you have brought me here from the desert of oblivion. O beautiful wine giver, pour me the wine that gives me insight. Offer me the wine from the sea of love and fill my heart with pearls. Pour it into my heart until I shred the veil and go beyond reason. My spirit is consumed by judgment and my life is reduced by thoughts. Pour that precious wine over the frozen cries of the skeptics until their words become warm and their nays become yays. I'm going to bring that up so you can screenshot it if you would like to. Let's see what Alana says. Will you say yes to me? I want to take you with me on a wild adventure. There we shall be, tripping, stumbling, falling like fools, laughing over our most unconstrained laughter as we drink the sweetest of offerings. Raucous and silly shall we be, though undoubtedly we are from the noblest and most royal lineage. Nonetheless, standing inside the tavern, warm and illumined by the golden hearth fires, we will hold on to each other, barely able to stand up straight, crying with so much laughter, sweet wine coursing through our blood. Beloved, you are being offered a gift that is beyond your current understanding. This gift is from the hand of the divine beloved, an offering to you that will lift you beyond what you have known into the next opening of your inner eye, of your heart, of your soul, so that it may caress the earth with the light of heaven. This may sound wonderful, indeed it is, yet welcome though this gift may be, there is a trick to receiving it, you see. When the sweet wine is offered, you must drink, but also be willing to become drunk. You must be willing to let go of control. You must trust in what will happen, trust that you will be cared for, or that you may appear to be the fool. You must be willing to not have all the answers, or indeed any answers at all, my wise soulmate. And trust that this is according to the higher plan and not some inadequacy or error. So will you accept the gift that is coming to you, the offering that the sacred feminine brings to you now? It is the sweet wine she offers. It shall be an enjoyable journey receiving this gift, a wearing away of resistance and restraint towards life through the sheer pleasure of aliveness without thought. Oh, what a journey this is to be for you. So much that is truly wonderful and incredible, sacred and extraordinary awaits you. You who are asked to drink from the generous cup of the great beloved is bringing toward your lips. So what if your speech becomes incoherent and you have no words to describe what you feel, or if the world around you ceases to understand you? Could any of that compare to the great bliss of being fully alive and dancing with the divine ones in dazed splendor at the beauty of life? This is a party you want to attend, trust me, even though no one will be much interested in talking because they will be too busy dancing. Everyone will envy you, though if you open your heart to invite them to, many will say, oh no, I have to wash my hair and I have to sort through my accounts and count my fingers and my toes. It will take me too long and I simply won't be ready to attend. But you go. Of course, you enjoy yourself, whilst I am working long and hard at things so very important. And you may hang your head and wonder if you too should stay at home and wash your hair and tend to your accounts and count your fingers and toes, many times over perhaps, to make sure you get it right. But then you'll hear the distant sounds of clinking glasses, of music, of stomping, dancing and laughter, and you'll think a wise thought, so wise indeed that you'll stop thinking immediately after thinking it. That thought will be, forget this to-do list, I am going to have some fun. This oracle comes with guidance for you. Are you having fun yet? Well, you may need to wash your hair and tend to your accounts, that is fine. You may even need to count your fingers and toes, but over and over again, beloved. Surely you can find some time in between the endless to-dos of your to-do list to throw a tantrum and come dancing with me instead. Your honour and commitment, discipline and focus are certainly to be rewarded with some uninhibited nonsense. Come put aside that seriousness for a moment or more and allow the wild child in you to take your body and soul for a spin. Together let's go and paint the town the colour of love. The sacred honouring ritual is, if you can have a glass with some drinkable liquid, water is fine or juice, or wine if appropriate and you prefer this option, then have it ready for your ritual. Place your hands over the filled glass and say the following. All things emanate from the divine beloved, and the divine beloved lives in all things. In this sacred nectar, I receive the gift of love from the divine beloved. I sip, I drink, I partake of the sacred gift offered to me now. I place my mind aside and choose instead to bear the witness to what is offered now through the gift of grace. I ask for assistance, that I may remember what it is to play and to find the joy of living, the delight of my path and the humour of life. Bless me with such grace, so be it. And now drink. You have finished your sacred honouring ritual, unless you feel like dancing around your lounge room, after which you shall have then completed your sacred honouring ritual. Oh, isn't it just beautiful? And so many metaphors there. You know, the party is this wild roller coaster of a connection you're having. Yes, you have to allow yourself to lose control, to be drunk on the heady joy of it all, even if it might seem that the results of that are sometimes catastrophic or crazy or hard. Can you trust that there is a higher plan and that only joy was meant to come from this connection? You know, can you revel in that and find it and keep showing up for yourself and the sacred oneness of the connection you're experiencing? I'm sorry I forgot to include it in the actual reading, but I'm glad that I came back and added it here. Thank you so much, Pile 1. See you soon. Bye. Hello, Part 2. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Elephant, the Aura-Coated Quartz, and the Hide Tarot. And today we're asking, why did you have to go through this? Now, I know this is a deep reading. It's a lot, but this is going to be deeply healing. You know, we all suffer, and when we do, we hold on to a lot of the pain, the anger, the resentment, the frustration, all of those hard feelings and big emotions that occur when we experience suffering can keep us stuck. And everything we experience has purpose. So understanding, you know, why can really help us reconcile and reframe those experiences and release the feelings that keep us stuck. So we don't know what's going to come up. It will be different for each of you. It could be something to do with an old relationship. It could be something to do with childhood. Let's find out. Now we'll be using the oracle cards and the divination charms today. There will be an extended reading for those of you that resonate with this one. And this deck actually is so beautiful to handle. But this deck, the Hide Tarot that you chose, I'll show you the box again in a minute. This was created by Dan Francis, who is a very dear friend of mine. He went to school with my daughter, my oldest daughter. And he is also illustrating my deck, my Oracle deck, which is due out this year. It will be on Kickstarter before Christmas. I'm so excited to share it with you. 3 years in the making. But going back to Dan's deck, the Hide Tarot, here's the box again. You can still get a first edition copy of that. I'll pop the link for you down below. And I recommend it because it's like an Oracle deck and a tarot deck. It's very, very cool. Okay, let's do this, Part 2. Why did you have to go through this? We're going to draw cards first to help us understand what it was that you actually went through. The Dragonfly or the Hanged Man in reverse. So you had to suppress your feelings. The Sun in reverse. So this is undoubtedly connected to the childhood experience, feeling trapped, feeling unsafe. The Knight of Cups. So we can see that this led through to the teenage years, an energy of loneliness. Ten of Swords in reverse, unprocessed betrayal and abandonment trauma. Ten of Swords traditionally is illustrated as someone being stabbed in the back. But it's also the end of a cycle. So the fact that this one's come up in reverse shows us that, you know, you never really processed it or closed it out. And we've got the Ace of Wands in reverse. So this is called the bottle. So I'm literally bottling it up. But also the Ace of Wands in the upright position is about embracing your spiritual self. So I really feel that this has been a real block in your life, both creatively, and you may have noticed more recently that there's been creative blocks, and certainly spiritually. Okay, clarifying the Hangman in reverse. We've got the Nine of Pentacles, so that's the energy of self-sufficiency. You channeled all of your pain into work. The Sun in reverse, clarified by the Page of Pentacles in reverse, the Tiger. And the Knight of Cups, clarified by the Five of Pentacles, the Eye. The Ten of Swords in reverse, clarified by the King of Pentacles. Again, we see that channeling the pain into work energy. Ace of Wands in reverse, King of Swords in reverse, the Swan. Okay, let's get some oracle cards as well. I'm going to start with these. This is the Oracle of Seven Energies. This was actually a gift from Nikia. I keep all the little notes, they're all tucked in the box that come with this. If you would like to donate a deck to help keep my readings fresh, you can always find my Amazon wish list in the description box below. It's always such a sweet treat to get decks from you guys. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for being so generous. Let's get some of these. Okay. Beautiful uncaging. Do you know what? This card has come up so much lately, both in my personal readings and my video readings. Body and soul. A powerful move. And broken open. Oh, I got chills when I turned that one over. Okay, and from the Spirit Animal Oracle. And one fell out there, we'll keep that. Scarab Beetle, magic works through you. Peacock Spirit. And Whale Spirit. Oh, I love whales so much. Big-hearted energy. Okay, pile 2. So we're seeing this trauma response of being hyper-independent, super committed to your work, so workaholic tendencies, and actually being overproductive is a very common trauma response. Lots of people channel their pain, their stress, their anger, their frustrations into their work because they get such a big rush when they are achieving. It helps elevate them above all the uncomfortable feelings that, you know, we're avoiding. And so when the Hangman is in reverse, and think of dragonfly as well, dragonfly skims the surface of the water. Water represents the emotional body. So we can see, you know, that not quite wanting to get close to it, but also this expert level of mastery in actually skimming the surface of the emotional self. And that Nine of Pentacles, which is all about hyper independence, self-sufficiency, you know, really taking care of yourself even though you feel so vulnerable. And there is a very intense energy of loneliness here, but it feels like when it comes to relationships, you are a very harsh judge. You don't trust easily. And we can see that with the Sun in reverse, you know, childhood, we're always powerless as children. You know, that's why we are so pure and so present, because we, you know, there's freedom in powerlessness. But when our environment is unsafe, when our environment is troubled, dysfunctional, that powerlessness becomes extremely painful, because our caregivers that are meant to be protecting us, you know, aren't able to, for whatever reasons. They have those limitations. They weren't showing up in the way that you needed. We can see as well that poverty or a lack of was an intense experience in your childhood with the Page of Pentacles in reverse. And I'm hearing this was particularly hard at school, where you may have been singled out because you didn't have what the other kids had. You didn't dress like the other kids did, or you didn't have any degree of privilege when it came to what was provided for you. And so you often felt a lot of shame, and this has further been channeled into your work, you know, not wanting to be seen as that poor person, the unaccomplished, wanting to provide security and stability for yourself, and this desperate fear of failure, fear of being poor. You know, there's a real strength to your conviction when I hear, you know, I will not ever be in that position again. I will always have enough or more than enough. And I do feel that you've also channeled this into having lots of things. There's a very material energy about all of the cards here. So, you know, buying things, hoarding things, even for some of you, having way more than you need because of that fear of lack. The Knight of Cups shows us that you kind of broke free from that in your teenage years, but because you weren't able to access the emotional undercurrent of those energies and work with it, you kind of remained at this stage when it comes to your emotions. And the Knight of Cups is adolescent. It's that period that takes us roughly up to the age of 21 when we become adults, although I think we're still growing quite dramatically at that time. But this covers that period of your life, and the wolf leaves its pack in order to form its own. And so this energy of the wolf howling at the moon, we're seeing a more intuitive calling there, but not one that you could embody because there was so much trauma in the way. The Five of Pentacles is that feeling of being left out in the cold, the odd one out. And it just feels that you always felt like the outcast, like no matter how hard you worked at work on yourself, you never felt like you fit in anywhere or that you were ever worthy or good enough. You were always comparing yourself to other people and always feeling like, you know, if I just did this or I just did that, that might fill the hole. I love the idea of stars being in your eyes, wanting to be in your eyes here, but not quite making it to that center point. And I feel like no matter what you achieve or how much you accomplish, you've never quite been satisfied with yourself. And there's a very defensive energy here as well, very stoic. And it's the kind of energy that will, I want to say, reject others because they might trigger your sense of comparing yourself to others. There's definitely an envy there and an unhealthy level of it at points in your life. And if someone already has character flaws that you notice and dislike, it kind of exacerbates and intensifies that feeling because you kind of are processing it from the perspective of, well, why them? Why did they get to be better in this way? Why did they get that privilege? You know, they're such a crap person. They've got all of these faults and foibles. Why them? And so this energy of comparing yourself and a sense of injustice, unfairness, you know, seeing people who perhaps have more, do more, achieve more, and yet seemingly take it for granted. It's all very triggering for you. I know it's really hard to acknowledge that. Standing in self-awareness of these kinds of shadow aspects takes a really strong heart. But that's what is beautiful about this. You do have one of those, you know, you love big. And we can see here with that King of Pentacles that it is such a nurturing energy. I want to say you were always an old soul, you know, and people, even when you were a child, would have said that about you. We've got the fossil, which of course is about ancient energy. And you can see here that it's the ammonite, which is the spiral, represents that growth, that expansion that occurs over many, many lifetimes. So, you know, you were born with the wisdom of the ages coursing through your veins, and you could always see how the world should be and how conversations should be. You know, there's a real sense of justice and rightness and certainty about peace and love, but you've never been able to communicate it or embody that energy, even though you feel it so strongly. And that also frustrates you so much. You are so hard on yourself. I should be better. I should be kinder. I should be this. And this is one of the reasons you avoid your shadow aspect, because when it leans in, you know that those feelings, those ill-dignified big feelings are, you know, I guess not good, not wholesome, not loving enough. And so you push them away. But you're being reminded that if you can just embrace them, if you can allow them and stand in awareness of them and sit with them, that you will find this wounded child there. And when you find that wounded child, you have an opportunity to love them. You have an opportunity to help them reframe the experiences they had, to parent them in a way that communicates that they were always good enough, always worthy enough, that the harsh words of those around them at that stage don't need to shape their whole future and how they feel about themselves. This is what happens when we actually sit with our heavy emotion, and we can see that you've just bottled it up. I'm noticing this broken open energy, and I feel like for you, something cracked you open fairly recently. We've got a powerful move here as well. And this is the energy of the devil. It's number 15. And the devil in tarot is actually about distorted love, conditional love, addictive, obsessive love. It's about our unhealthy attachment to things. And so it definitely feels like there was some kind of intense connection in your life that broke you open. You were always a bit woo-woo anyway. You were always drawn to the mystical, the occult, the magic. But it feels like this broke open a broader awareness in you, an older, more ancient knowing and wisdom. And we can see here as well with the uncaging. And I feel it's the heart that needs to be uncaged in your case. You're so afraid of facing those emotions again that you won't allow yourself to revisit them so that they can be processed. And yet you're not understanding that that's exactly what will set you free. That's exactly what will unlock the heart and allow you to shed all of the unhealthy attachments that you have been navigating. I do feel that in relationships, you do get attached very quickly. You have a tendency towards being very, very suspicious of someone in the beginning, not trusting easily. But once there's been an opening in your heart, once they've kind of got a foot in the door, it's like you free fall and lose yourself all at once. And that makes you feel so scared and so vulnerable because, you know, you didn't want to trust them. And it's almost like you can't quite grasp that the door's enough to keep them shut. You know, the heart always opens up and is softened by the presence of someone, I guess, with like for like heart energy. And so when that happens and they've kind of got their foot in the door, this is when you become rigid and unyielding and hyper defensive, very critical. You start looking for faults, you start demanding certain things. And all of this is to quell your insecurities, to help you feel safe again. And what you're really hoping for is for that person to yield, to give you those things, to understand, to comprehend. But what it usually starts doing is pushing people away. And this is because you're not being direct. You're not saying, look, this is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling really vulnerable, really insecure. Instead, you're acting out. You're finding fault in minor things which have nothing to do with the truth of that emotion. And you're kind of trying to control the situation and make it safe by creating barriers and unhealthy boundaries. And the reality is you never stick to those boundaries anyway. So it's almost like this false sense of security born of this assertiveness, this frustration, this anger, which never actually yields the result you want, because, you know, the only way to make yourself secure is to heal your heart. Magic works through you. We've got body and soul, let it shine, and trust the great mystery. And I also want to come to elephants. You know, this is actually the 7 of Pentacles. And 7s are always about divinity, about spirit, fate, the universe literally flowing into your life. We can see that this elephant has a wreath above its head, which is symbolic of triumph and ascension. Also, elephant is about remembering. You know, its energy is so powerful and nurturing, but it's also, like we discussed earlier, with the wisdom of the ages running through your veins. You know, that's elephant energy, remembering who you are, remembering all of the magic that exists within you. And the 7 of Pentacles is about investment. It's about patience. It's about determination and staying the course. So it does require time. You know, the 7 of Pentacles reminds you of the earthly cycle and passage of time. It's often depicted as someone planting seeds or growing fruit and digging into hard ground and feeling frustrated that, you know, they've planted a seed, but there's no fruit yet. And so it's a reminder that you have to start investing in yourself, in your physical world, body and soul. You are very disassociated from your body because of these experiences of trauma that you had and this lack of safety in your childhood. And when you are disassociated from your body, you're not grounded, you're not earthed, and you can't be in your full power. you know, when you're not grounded. And we see this one, look, a powerful move. In both cases, there is something to be unlocked, but you already have the key. And these are sequential numbers, you know, the 14 and the 15. So it reminds you of that progressive energy, unlock the heart. And that's a powerful move forward in grounding and earthing yourself back into the earth's connection. We are electrical beings. Literally, we have biophotons, light in our body, and we know from science that our bodies work much more effectively when we are earthed and grounded. So, you know, I do think that you are very magical, that you have many lifetimes behind you as a sorcerer or sorceress, some kind of magician, witch, wizard, druid, whatever you want to call it, a shamanic energy. But you made things happen because you understand and understood that connection from source energy has to be grounded and made physical. That's why witches and sorcerers use ritual, they use tools, they use physical objects, because they're grounding that energy. Peacock is about the confidence you possess. You know, when it comes to your work, you can communicate with such truth and conviction, and you flow so beautifully with that. You're a natural channel. You know that when you are discussing something you are passionately wise about, it flows from you. It flows from you so beautifully. You know that feeling. That's the feeling that you need to embody all of the time. You know, when you feel safe and you let it flow, you have so much light. You have so much power inside of you. Whale is also a wonderful guide. It reminds you to go with the flow and to listen to the messages. Whale spirit here says, trust the great mystery. You know, I know it's hard that you've had to go through these things, but talking about the whys, you're being asked to recognize the strength, the power that has occurred because of your experience. For one, being very isolated as a child and not having a comfortable home drove you into certain study topics. You know, to distract yourself, to fill that time, you studied the topics that really excited you. As a consequence, you have developed a very high level of skill and mastery in certain arenas, and that can now be applied in very meaningful ways. When you combine it with an open heart, which is what you need to work on, you get to kickstart a spiritual journey that is going to lead you, you know, into a greater sense of clarity and communication. The King of Swords is an authority on truth and communication. You know, they're often teachers. This is the energy of intellect. It's the energy of learned wisdom. And you've already applied yourself so powerfully to that throughout your life. And now you can start letting that magic work through you and reap the benefits and rewards of that. This idea that you need to be a star has been misappropriated. You've been leaning into the wrong sector, the wrong role. You need to focus on that which truly excites you, whatever sets your heart on fire, and allow yourself to enjoy that mastery. You're abundant now, but you're going to be even more abundant as you grow, part 2. Right, let's get some more cards. Let's get some more tarot cards. Right, so we've got the 5 of Wands, the goat, Aries energy. We've got the 4 of Swords, the moss. We've got the Fool, the tooth, lion energy. We've got the Empress in the reverse, the rosemary. And we've got the skull, Hierophant. And we're going to clarify these. The Tower in reverse, the charm. That's a hagstone. The parrot in reverse, Queen of Wands. I forgot to ask you guys to think of a sign, but I bet loads of you did anyway. I was just thinking then when the parrot and the hagstone came up that we've had some really interesting ones. Let me know if you see your signs. I always love it when we have those things. Right, clarifying the Fool. We've got the Ace of Cups in reverse, the ring. Clarifying the Empress in reverse. We've got Justice in reverse, the horn. Clarifying the Hierophant, we've got the 9 of Cups, the song. Okay. So we've had two fives. We had the Five of Pentacles over here. Here we've got the Five of Wands, which is about competition and strategy. We've got the Tower in reverse, clarifying it. Now, it's called the Charm here. That's a fairly auspicious symbol. Hagstones are indeed lucky. And I want to remind you of what we discussed earlier with that energy of comparison and envy. It feels to me that this is a wound you need to process fairly soon. Like, you need to just deal with it. It's going to have a big impact. The fact that it's coming up again and in this context, you know, helping you understand this goat is facing left, which is into the past. This suggests to me that it's literally, you know, this shadow aspect is clouding your judgment, your clarity, and it's causing you to move in the wrong direction. And so that might be because you're chasing certain goals or objectives for the wrong reasons, perhaps because you need to be better than such and such person, or you really need to improve in that. You're being asked to question why your goals are your goals. You know, what is it that feels good about them? And really, the only feel good that you need is the genuine, well, just because it feels good. You know, but if your feel good is because, oh, well, that'll show that person, or that will really impress so-and-so, or this will make me look better and my resume will be amazing, or this will improve my status or standing in my chosen sector. You know, you have to be really honest with yourself about the whys, because it feels to me like this energy of comparison and envy has distorted your whys, and consequently you've been moving in the wrong direction. I forgot to get some more oracles, so we're starting with this deck. This is the Elemental Oracle. Okay, first card, focus, leopard energy. Protection, the tree. Freedom, the bird. And simplicity, the feather. And from this deck, this is the Enchanted Blossoms deck. Magnificence, bird of paradise. Grace, yellow jasmine. And from the Whispers of Love oracle cards. Slow down, pause and allow things to unfold. That's coming over. Trust the great mystery. And so with the Four of Swords, I do feel like this slowing down energy is really essential for you right now. You're being asked to take some time to pause and regroup. We can see here that the Queen of Wands is in reverse. We don't want that card in reverse. The Queen of Wands is, I feel, the energy you're meant to embody, because it brings forward all of that wisdom, that intuitive wisdom of the ages we discussed, with that balanced Aries energy that allows you to charge forward. Aries is about drive, impulse, and that inspired desire to rush forward. And, you know, the Queen of Wands is a master of that. The Parrot is also about communication. And so it definitely feels like your channeling is just being misappropriated. Your energy is in the wrong place. And so if it's affordable to you, you need to take some time out. Look at this moss. It's like moss growing in a jar of water. Moss obviously is about, well, with water it represents emotion, and moss is the earthly aspect. Again, this is about combining those inner forces, healing from the heart, allowing yourself to reach in and grow in the dark. Protection. You are protected right now. The universe wants you to grow. I feel like you have been facing a lot of upheaval in your experience. And so maybe there is this feeling of, well, you know, I don't feel like the universe has got my back. We can see this again here with this winter scene, you know, the mountain seeming so tall, clouds, snow, you know, not ideal conditions. And leopard is about speed and agility. And with this focus, we see him kind of looking up at the sky as if to say, oh shit, it's snowing again. You know, I can't see where I'm going, but you just need to focus and trust that the skies will clear. Thunderbolts of lightning are always symbolic of divine intervention, light from a higher dimension that strikes the earth, charges it, powers it up. You know, even though the storm is intense right now, you need to trust it's for your greater good. The Fool is always about new beginnings. And when I turned over this one, the tooth, I heard sharpening your teeth. You know, like the predator sharpening its teeth in anticipation of the challenge ahead. You know, now is the time to revisit that learning and the things you were studying as a child. Now is the time to take a leap of faith and embody the things that actually you are passionate about. This is what's being committed to yourself is. The Ace of Cups is about self-love. You know, can you make a commitment to yourself to stop betraying yourself and choosing things that are going to increase your standing in the world or help people perceive you in a better light? No one else matters. You know, what do you want to do? What makes you happy? Forget what other people feel about it. When you are doing what you are meant to do, that is when you are going to truly, truly shine. And with the Empress in reverse, you know, it shows us that you are not yet creating everything that is meant for you. Justice, about bringing it into balance. And we see that star there and the horn pointing at it. I do feel like justice and fairness. Remember what I was saying about you just seeing how things should be, you know, and so how can you apply that intuitive gift, seeing how things should be? You know, this is how I'm doing it. You know, bringing to people's awareness their deeper healing needs. But for you, it could be about work, it could be about creativity, it could be about all manner of things. There are so many ways to channel that knowledge and intuition. Look at what interested you through that period of trauma as a child, because that's going to reveal a lot of the secrets. Certainly, we can see that you were meant to teach. The Hierophant is about authority. And look at this, a skull, which is symbolic of rebirth and death, and then the stars. And there are 7 stars here. 7, the number of divinity. You know, you have to be reborn. You have to make those sacrifices to close out old cycles before you can have the new ones. The 9 of Cups is an emotional self-sufficiency. You've channeled all of your energy into the 9 of Pentacles. But if you can channel it all into cups, emotions rather than material world, this is when you're going to start seeing a dramatic shift in your life. The Hierophant is also number 5. So it's that midway point that allows you to shift into love, to shift into the energy of heart-centered living. Remember, we had all those 5s as well with the 5 of Wands and the 5 of Pentacles. You know, the universe wants you to be free, but it really is a lot more simple than you're allowing yourself to believe. It doesn't mean it's going to take years. It's about pivoting on the daily and taking different steps and making different choices that are more congruent with your heart and with your truth, embodying your magnificence. You know, Bird of Paradise, it also says here, Common Mother of Pearl. Perhaps this is a resource that will be really beneficial to your energy. And that brings me back to this magical element and the grounding of energies. You know, allowing yourself to ground wisdom creatively and physically, whether that's through making a grid, you know, sewing something, putting something else together, even cooking. You know, or cast a circle, leave offerings for the 4 quarters, write your manifestations and wishes down, commit yourself to regular ritual and routine around your spiritual practice. This is where you're going to yield the most from it. And when you are healing and clearing of the shadow self, allow it to be washed through you into the ground. Let Mother Earth take care of it for you. You know, what you really need is to reconnect with your natural spiritual self, to be back in your body. And we've got Grace here, Yellow Jasmine and Two-Tailed Pasha. Now, grace, of course, is all about how we move and surrender to the flow of what is. You know, we think of grace as something otherworldly. When we think of graceful, we think of, you know, beautiful people moving with ease and looking so at home in the world. But think of that energy as an energy that you can embody, an energy that you feel in you, this graceful gliding and easy movement, which is all about moving with the energetic flow available to you, harnessing that power. When you are grounded, when you are focused on yourself, committed to yourself, loving and healing yourself, leaning in to the simplicity of living and all the things you enjoy, that's when you adopt grace. That's when grace becomes part of who you are. Pause and allow things to unfold. And look at all what's promised here. Look what the universe is talking about. It's showing you that yes, there's a maze, a complicated maze, but we have love here. We have a spider web, which represents the energy of being industrious, productive, and self-sufficient. We've got a bridge that takes you over to the castle and an opening into a magical forest. Light from the candles and fish represent the eternal flow of life and our intuition. This is a number 9. It's the power of you. Trust you can dream that new world into being, but you have to connect with your heart. Your heart is your power center. It's the part of you that once embodied and embraced is going to allow you to live to your fullest potential. You've kept it shut for too long, pile 2. Okay. Let's get some final guidance before we take this over to the extended. And I think in the extended, I want to look at this powerful move that broke you open and get some more guidance on that, as well as some more practical guidance. So I'm going to get a row of tarot cards. We've got the Page of Wands. We've got the King of Cups in reverse. That's 3 kings that we've had for you so far. The Altar, the Magician in reverse. The Death card, the Statue, and the 6 of Cups, the Relic. Okay, and from this deck, Whispers of Love, we've got rest and relaxation as essentials. There's your second message. You've got to create space. Love makes the difference. And get to know each other. Okay, so that suggests there is someone around at the moment. Elemental Oracle. I'm hearing someone that you wouldn't necessarily have picked, but you feel surprisingly drawn to. Like they're not your usual type. There's a surprising magnetism there. Surprising to you at least. Enlightenment. And happiness. And we're going to get one of these cards. This is the Rumi Oracle. I'm going to read this one straight from the book because it is so beautiful. Let love transform. So that's number 14. Remember we had that card, number 14, with the uncaging of the heart. Interesting that that message has come through again. Okay, divination charms. Oh, one flew out. I think we've probably got too many here, but that's okay. So we've got, well, my crystals are falling over. We've got the blank piece of paper. So now is not the time to communicate, send messages. We've got 2222, energy of the High Priestess. We've also got the 2 swords or knives. The Save Yourself floppy disk. Wine time. The bottle, the yin yang symbol, the beer, 1111, what's that one? Dead inside but still horny, and fake news. And what was this one? And the sunshine. Okay, I'm gonna take the back off that one because it won't sit flat. Come on, wine bottle, wine time. There we go, that's better. Okay, so we start with the Page of Wands. Now remember we had the Ace of Wands and the Queen of Wands in reverse, and wands are always about the spiritual energy in you, the fire. This one's depicted as a moth, which is transformation, and the page is all about allowing yourself to grow into that energy. It's the beginning of that energy. Remember we said the knight is the adolescent. Well, the page is about being the child. And so every time we begin something new, when we're learning something new, starting a new phase in our life, we are like children in that respect. Again, it's new to us. It's a new world, a new experience, new learning. And so the page is like, think of it in terms of a stage of ascension. It's not necessarily the age or the childlike quality. It's about where we're at on our journey. And so you need to allow yourself to be a beginner. I think that's one of the things that you really struggle with. You know, you won't do something unless you're really, really good at it, but you have to be doing something to get really, really good at it. And so I think you're underestimating as well your ability based on what you've already learned through that very studious period in your life. It says here, rest and relaxation is essential. We all have a fundamental need to take a break. We can see dolphins there, which are all symbolic of happiness. So many lovely symbols in this card. I'm going to bring it up close for you guys to see. So, you know, transform through rest and relaxation and play. Allow yourself to be a beginner, to be playful, to approach things for the sheer joy of it rather than because you think it's going to be productive or you're going to be the best at it. It's just giving yourself permission to enjoy it, to be playful. That's the childlike quality. You know, you see this when you see kids create art. You know, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, draw a picture of mum, draw a picture of your house. They don't give a shit that it's crap. You know, they're not judging it going, oh, wow, look, my windows don't look like windows. They don't care. They are just enjoying creating. You know, this is the energy that you need to embody with your spiritual gifts, with your healing time. Just be playful. You don't have to be doing it all right. Don't give yourself strict goals. You don't have to achieve anything. It's just for the fun of it, the joy of it, allowing yourself to get that creative energy flowing again. Creating emotional intelligence through self-mastery with the King of Cups in reverse. The iris grows in very damp conditions, and that's all about the emotional self. And the King of Cups is Scorpio energy. We've had lots of representations of that coming through. We've got the Death card again here with Scorpio. That's the rising of the phoenix, the resurrection, allowing yourself to embody the inner light and dark so you can achieve your fullest potential and feel whole. The Magician in reverse here, it's called the altar. I think that's a very poignant and appropriate message given what we discussed about tools and grounding energy. We see another ammonite fossil here. We've got the athame and the magical chalice and all of these crystals. Not sure what that one is. A stick of some sort, a wand perhaps, and a magical box crowned with stars. You know, allow yourself to be creative and physical. You are a master manifester. In human design, you're probably a manifester or manifesting generator. You know, this is about remembering. The Six of Cups is a reunion of the heart as well. And this isn't just a reunion with others, it's a reunion with self. It's clarified by the energy of enlightenment and that cosmic, mystical journey being in full swing. But you cannot have that if you don't open your heart. Love makes the difference. It helps heal past hurts. It helps provide a sense of security and self-worth. We're seeing so many beautiful energies again depicted here for you. I really feel like your journey is going to be so much more exciting than you have allowed yourself to believe. We've got the happiness card here with the dolphins bringing the energy of joy and playfulness which you need to recoup. 222 is about the high priestess. It's about recognizing your dual nature and returning to unity or oneness within. And when I say dual nature, I mean the soul and the physical human. You know, it's about embodying the two. The Two of Swords is indecision and procrastination. And this is why you need time. This is why you need space to relax and figure it out, to journal, to really ask yourself, what is it that I really want? What actually feels really good? And why does that feel good? Does it feel good because I'm proving myself to someone or to myself? Or does it feel good just for the sheer joy of feeling good? You know, that's the feeling good that's genuine and authentic. Now is the time to commit to yourself and taking care of you and being your best self. Less wine time. This bottle's black. You know, this is what's burying the shadow, keeping it hidden. You know, you've got to balance both aspects of yourself so that you can step back into freedom, playfulness. We've got the sunshine grid for you as well today. Remember, the sun came up in reverse for you. The sun is all about returning to that vulnerable, pure, open-hearted self. The beer. So alcohol is indicated twice here. Remember, alcohol is also a depressant. For some reason, this one's got a C in the top left corner. Or is that a crescent moon that looks like a C? I'll let you decide. Maybe C or something beginning with C was your sign. We've got 1111, the numbers of awakening. This comes over the enlightenment card, you know, reminding you why you are here. Stop telling yourself all these stories of what you should have got and how unfair it is and how you wish it was different. You can't love who you are now if you hate the experiences you had. It's time to let this go. You know, you tell yourselves a lot of stories about how it should be and how, you know, why you think people hurt you. There's a lot of speculation and a lot of assumption, and yet you have very real emotional responses to those stories you tell yourself. You're being asked to stand in awareness of your thoughts so that you can recognize the untruths when they come up. Dead inside but still horny. And I think this is why you're such a prolific dater, and why you are perhaps dismissing someone else who is very keen. I feel that their keenness has perhaps felt a bit of a turn off to you. So get to know each other, learn to meet another's need for love. And, you know, you're kind of feeling that they're a bit needy. What's really happening is that kind of intimacy frightens you. But you can set healthy boundaries. You can say, let's take it slower. But with 4-4 being the number here, that's the number of stability, and it's actually 4444 on the time and now. As I was saying that, so that's magic. You know, there's stability, security, and a healthy degree of companionship and mutual care in this energy. Let's read this beautiful card from the Rumi deck, Let Love Transform. This is also number 14, which is the energy of temperance and rebalancing. Ooh. And Alana Fairchild, all of her decks, by the way, are just so beautifully written. I use them a lot for myself because, you know, it's hard to read for yourself sometimes. So getting a message from an oracle, and these are really meaty, so I'm going to read this to you. So the Rumi quote is, "The spring of love arrives to transform the dust into a garden. The call is heard from the heavens to bid the wings of the soul to fly. The sea becomes filled with pearls. The dry land receives the water of life. The stone becomes a ruby, and the body becomes all soul." Absolutely beautiful. For me, this is about opening your heart and recognizing the empowerment of that. Love is my medicine, intelligent medicine. It takes death and it makes it a passageway into greater life. What genius is this? A genius that will render anything and everything as a pathway to life. I have found a bench upon which we may be seated. Nay, not a bench, a love seat. It is carved of precious ruby. It sits under the gentle shade of an ancient tree that thrives in love's garden. Come and sit with me, beloved, as we let the whispers of the great beloved penetrate our hallowed ears, carried upon the sweet afternoon breeze. As the sun begins to set, the colours become vibrant. Even if we are deaf to the beloved's tender whispers, we shall not be blind. We shall be captured by the vivid display of the beloved's artistry and be transported into peace. This oracle comes to you as a living spiritual gift. Whether you realize it or not, you have triumphed. You have blossomed, succeeded, cast aside that which was unworthy, and taken up love's way. How much delight there is from all those that walk this way of love, of life, to find another precious companion in their midst. You are welcomed into this world where love finds a way. There is nothing impossible for love. It is not bound by the mind, and because of this, all manner of miraculous grace works through it in endless variety. The great beloved is a show-off, creating with such genius as to be breathtaking. Where we are able to remain always in the heart, we would be constantly breathless, in a fit of appreciation and awe so great, truly there would not be even a slither of emptiness through which fear could enter. What does this mean? It means an avenue for divine fulfillment has been found. You are being given the power for spiritual success. Your heart's yearning shall manifest itself, but you must comply according to the law of love. What does that mean exactly? Do not attach yourself to the form that your resolution and success shall take. Why would we seek to limit love's creative genius? No, instead, Trust that it will be magnificent, perfection, literally the work of great genius. Detach yourself from expectations of timing. The harvest will be at the best time when the ripeness is just right, so utterly juicy and sweet that you shall know with certainty that this was the best way. Not a moment sooner would have been perfect, nor a moment later. Absolute trust is the best way to adhere to the law of love. This gives you rather some energy to spare, perhaps that might have otherwise been engaged in perpetuating worry or doubt. Well, I am so happy to see that you are twiddling your divine thumbs and wondering if you are not going to worry. If you are just going to surrender and trust, then what exactly will you do with yourself? Well, of course, you can just live your life, but perhaps you want to dance barefoot and wild with me upon the cool sand at midnight under the fullness of the harvest moon. And there's a sacred ritual here for you. I'm going to bring it up close so you can screenshot it. Open your arms to the heavens and imagine sacred bounty pouring down more than you can hold. This is love's gift of plenty to you. Imagine whatever it is you want. Love, abundance, peace, passion, healing, purpose. Let it all descend into your body and soul, just like that. When you are ready, place your hands on your heart and say, I am love's own. I am seated with my brother Rumi, who loves me unconditionally, upon the love seat in the sacred garden of the divine creator. I am blessed to fulfill my destiny, to become divinity awakened and embodied, to receive all of life with the wings of angels at my back, so I may rise with my sacred animal feet to dance with a sacred delight upon this earth. Put your hands in prayer, bow your head for a moment, and you have finished your sacred honouring ritual. Such a beautiful, beautiful message for you, part 2. And I want to remind you of the card you chose. You know, that message said you are already triumphant. You know, now is the time to celebrate everything you have achieved. You are an incredible person. You have a beautiful heart. You've worked so hard. You have so much skill and power. You're going to be even more of a roaring success. But can you take a moment to celebrate who you are now? I really hope that this has helped, part 2. I'm sending you so much love and so much compassion. If you would like to join me on the extended, you can find a link to that down below. But thank you so much for joining me here. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for hitting the like button and for subscribing. And thank you so much to the very generous souls that take the time to watch my adverts and commercials. That really does make the world of difference. It's such a perfect energy exchange, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you for being here. Love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Dog, the Chrysalis Tarot, and the Rose Quartz Moon. And today we're asking, why did you have to go through this? I know it's a deep question. These aren't easy readings, but they are so important because we all suffer. We all go through really hard and challenging experiences. And there is purpose and lessons in everything that we go through. And so by allowing ourselves to reflect on which part of those experiences we are resisting, what we're still holding on to, and understanding the why can really help us reconcile the lessons that we're being presented and move forward for our highest good. So let's see what's coming through for you, part 3. I'm going to move little doggo over here. This is such a cute deck. For those of you that are curious, it's from this deck, the Joy Seeker Tarot. So while I'm giving these a shuffle, take a nice long deep breath, set the intention that you are ready and willing to receive the messages that you need the most. You can also ask the universe for a sign. And a sign is just something to help you trust. It can be anything at all, whatever feels right to you. Okay. I'm going to use the oracle cards and the divination charms as well, but let's draw some cards to help us understand what the situation that Spirit wants to discuss, the why about. Right, so first card is the Nine of Stones. That's the Nine of Pentacles. The Five of Pentacles. The Three of Pentacles. The Empress. And the Ace of Pentacles. So just move these along. Okay, let's clarify these. I've got the Ten of Wands, the Lovers, the Eight of Pentacles, the Ten of Pentacles, and the Queen of Pentacles. Oh, God bless you, pile 3. Sometimes the story just downloads, you know, without me even having to read the cards. The Spirit Animal Oracle. And what I'm hearing is that you're just so tired of being on your own. It feels like you've achieved everything else that you needed and wanted to, but this one desire to have a family, to be a parent, to find, you know, this kind of soulmate energy and live happily ever after, it just seems to have eluded you. The Lizard Spirit, dreamed the world into being. Cat Spirit, claim your independence. And from the Seven Energies Oracle, this one was actually a gift from Nikia. I always appreciate it when you guys send me decks. Thank you so much, Nikia. This is the Oracle of the Seven Energies. That's a bit of a mouthful. If you would like to donate a deck to help keep my readings fresh, you can always find a link to my Amazon wishlist down below. But thank you, Nikia, for sending me this one. I actually use this a lot. It's a lovely, lovely deck and really nice to handle. Okay, we've got the Uncharted Sea, 46. And we've got Earth Magic, number 1. And from this deck, this is the Elemental Oracle. Gateway. Taking risks. Okay. We'll draw more cards as we go, but let's start here. So as I was saying, you have led, I want to say, a charmed life in many respects. I feel that you grew up in a relatively stable and supportive family, and you have achieved the material success you wanted to achieve. It definitely feels like you have a lot of good people around you, a warm family, although I'm hearing your family are mostly work colleagues because that's who you spend the most time with. We see here with the Three of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles that you have, you know, a really, I want to say, vibrant and homely team. You work so well in what you do. There is a lot of abundance expressed here. But it feels like you have been single for a very long time. And even though you have, you know, achieved so many things with your life, you haven't, as we described earlier, found that long-term partner that you've wanted to settle down and become a parent with. For some of you, you may be already a parent, but doing it on your own. And so when we have the Ten of Wands, we see that not only the burden of this energy, of this solitude, of this independence, but also this crossroads. You know, this concern about you don't know what to do anymore. You're trying to figure out if you are supposed to be in a relationship. Are you doing something wrong? You know, what is it that's holding you back? Why is this happening to you? There is a very powerful energy of frustration, injustice, unfairness. Why does everyone else get to settle down and have the happy family? Why am I the odd one out? The Five of Pentacles is feeling like you're on the outside looking in. And so you may be looking at families at certain times of the year, you know, and they're all doing things together. They're with their partners, they're with their kids, they're with, you know, groups of other couples and families. You just feel like a spare part. It's this energy of not being sure where you fit in, and also why this hasn't happened to you. So you've reached a stage in your life where you're starting to wonder, you know, am I just meant to be on my own? Like, I feel like I want somebody, but maybe I'm missing something. Sometimes you wonder if you're cursed or hexed, or if it's some kind of past life karma. And I feel that you just want to know also where you will meet that person, you know, and it does feel in that respect that you've restricted yourself somewhat because of your work. And there's definitely a strong energy and suggestion of travel here. But I think as well, you know, we're asking why this happened specifically. And I think what you're missing is that you have had a lot of time to cultivate yourself, to transform yourself, to move with the energies that have presented and opportunities. And this has been really wonderful for you. You have co-created a beautiful life. You know, Cat Spirit here, which is number 13, the energy of death in the tarot, encourages you to claim your independence. And what I think happened here is actually more connected to limiting beliefs rather than actual. For one, all the cards are upright. There were no blocked energies. So the first thing you need to understand is that things have flowed in the way they were meant to. You didn't do anything wrong. You've just been given lots of space to grow in the ways that you needed to, and to achieve what your soul set out to achieve. And you've done that in many beautiful ways. You have created a family of your own in many ways. You have beautiful, rich, warm friendships, and you have a very full and pleasing and abundant life. You know, you have so many things that a lot of people never have and crave. And so I know you want the icing on the cake and the cherry on top. That's absolutely understandable. But it does feel like up until now, you were meant to have this period of solitude so you could create this lifestyle and this world and this cooperative of energy that surrounds you. I think from now, actually, being single has become more of a decision than you've realized, because in recent years you have started to tell yourself that there must be something wrong with you. Maybe you're meant to be on your own. You know, you'll never find the right person. The right person isn't out there. And so it feels like you have unwittingly aligned with the energy of lack. You've got to remember that thought plus belief equals creation. Remember, it says dream a new world into being. We've got Empress energy. We've got all of this abundance. You know, you are a powerful creator. You're a powerful manifester. When you set your mind to something and you keep focus on it, magic happens. You know, you are the sort of person, you're probably very entrepreneurial. You are the sort of person that makes things happen. And I think you've unwittingly been bringing into your reality, manifesting more of what you don't want, which is solitude, by perpetually telling yourself, I'm never going to meet the right person. The right person isn't out there. You know, all of the potential suitors are flawed. They're all this, they're all cheats, they're all unreliable, they all have commitment phobia. You've got so tangled up in putting your focus on these very negative, pessimistic and hopeless perspectives that you have unwittingly created a reality for yourself in which all of those things are real. And so you're being reminded how powerful you are. You're being reminded how simple it is for you to just shift into a new perspective. Look at this, Earth Magic. I love this card. This is the energy of the Magician. He is the physical creator. So whereas the Empress creates, she is a portal for life. She creates energetically in the same way a woman builds a child with her body. You know, it's like an energetic internal occurrence. Whereas the Magician creates externally. He creates literally in this world. And we can see how the grounded energy of this lady's light is referred to here as Earth Magic, dreaming that new world into being. You know, you just need to choose a different route. It's not so much that the universe is trying to punish you, more that you have sailed off course by not recognizing your power as a manifester and moving in directions unconsciously and unwittingly that were exactly what you didn't want. And so, you know, you now have an opportunity to be deliberate and intentional about the route that you take. And look at this, taking risks. Now, I said travel really felt strong for me. I really do think that you need to take some time off work. You need to actually move away from your material world and allow yourself some real space. If it's affordable for you to take a sabbatical or even a short hiatus, 2 or 3 weeks if you can manage it, but to actually get away, to explore somewhere new, to let your hair down, to embrace that independence. Because there is a joy to solitude. And for the longest time, you actually really appreciated it. You loved that you could come home and slob out in your sweatpants and do whatever you wanted and choose the TV channel and eat what you wanted and sleep when you wanted. You loved that you owned your weekend and didn't have anyone else that needed you or cared about you. It's only in recent times, if you started to feel some kind of internal clock ticking, that you're starting to get antsy and twitchy and feeling like you really need to be attached. And so it's really important for you to reference when that began. Create a timeline in your mind. When did I start to feel this loneliness, this energy of rejection? My gut feeling is it was after a particularly challenging relationship that you maybe thought was your forever relationship. And so it feels like there was unprocessed trauma around that as well. You didn't give yourself an opportunity to really grieve in the way that you needed to. You were very stoic. You packed it up in a bag and you kept marching because that's the kind of powerful warrior you are. You were like, I'm not going to be sidelined by this. I'm not going to be crushed by this. I'm going to show this person. And I feel that you channeled all of that fury into your work and you just became more successful. You threw yourself back into single life, but it feels like you've never quite recouped your balance. And that's because there's definitely still unprocessed energy there, because it's also like the rug was pulled from beneath your feet. And I'm hearing that in many respects, you don't even believe there's unprocessed energy there, because you reflect on that person, you see why they were wrong for you. You're like, I don't have any hard feelings. I'm glad we broke up. It was the right thing. They would have been a nightmare. You've probably found out they cheat on their new partner or have been a really horrible spouse. So, I feel like in many respects, at an intellectual level, you reconciled that relationship, but you haven't processed the emotion that was there. And you say, I don't feel anything anymore. And that's because you don't feel anything. It's not because there's nothing there. It's because you're not giving yourself permission to lean into it. You are a very practical, pragmatic person, as is evidenced by the amount of Pentacles energy here. But look at that, the 10 of Wands, which is that spiritual inner compass. It's the energy of fire, of spirit, crossroads, confusion, burden. All of these energies are so comfortable, so stable, so grounding. But with the 10 of Wands, we've got this, I don't know what to do. I'm so confused. Which direction's right? It feels so hard. It feels so challenging. When you lean into your higher self, it feels like you disconnect from your reality in a way that's very uncomfortable for you. And so really it's about learning to bring it all in, to align with it all. You're very good at being present. You're very good at mindfully organizing and structuring your life. I bet you're the sort of person that's got like a Pinterest worthy pantry cupboard and wardrobe. Do you know what I mean? I feel like you're a very tidy, organized person. You're very good at making things beautiful, making things brilliant. You are powerful with earth magic and just really making sure that you harness the energy of your material world and carve it and create it into something wonderful, abundant, beautiful, and stable. But when you lean into who you are, when you turn your focus inwards, there is chaos. There's unresolved chaos, so much of it, because you've just packed it in and ignored it for so long. So let's find out what that is. Because I feel like, the why isn't intentional. You went through this because you avoided a part of yourself. You went through this because you started telling yourself stories about how impossible it was. But there's something deeper than that. There's something at the root of it. Okay, so we've got the Queen of Cups, the Watcher. We've got Death, Ariadne in this deck, number 13. It's the same as the number we've already had. We've got the Sun, so that's number 19. And we've got Celtic Owl, the Hanged Man. This is such a beautiful deck. And let's clarify these. So the Queen of Cups is clarified by the 7 of Cups. And the Death card is clarified by Kali, the Tower. And the Sun card is clarified by the Ten of Swords. And the Hanged Man is clarified by the Hermit. And again, I'm fascinated that we haven't a single reversal here. I really feel that's like, again, that reassurance from the universe that, you know, everything is as it's meant to be. The universe isn't interfering and cursing you or sending you off course. You know, this is you that has misguided yourself because you stopped listening to your inner compass. So I'm hearing you used to be a real visionary and dreamy person at an emotional level. You were very idealistic, and very early on you got burned. You know, and that taught you something important because you are so pragmatic, because you are so practical. You know, you were very keen. And look at this, we're seeing shattered illusions with the mirrors here. Because of this, you decided in future you were going to make wiser choices. You weren't going to allow yourself to be caught up in the emotional depth of a relationship. You were going to observe the reality of what was being presented and make decisions based on that. And most people have a real struggle separating that emotional self from the practical, intellectual self. But you were able to do that. We see this because the Queen of Mirrors, or the Queen of Cups, she is able to measure her emotion. She often has a lid on her cup. Here we see it as a wise old woman, and she's looking into the past. She is using the past and how it felt to determine the decisions she is making moving forward. And so, you know, what was originally born of a desire to love yourself better, to be more cautious and careful in love, I think was actually at the beginning of a closing down. And I do believe this happened when you were pretty young. You know, you learned very young that you had to play it cool, that you couldn't wear your heart on your sleeve, that you needed to guard your heart. At some point in the future, we can see with the Tower that there was an even more disruptive relationship. And this card is followed by death. We see here that there's the Ten of Swords and also the Sun. And so I feel that actually you coped in ways that were still demonstrative of resilience and strength, because you didn't, even though you were in pain and you suffered, you didn't allow yourself to be eaten alive by it. You know, you are a generally positive person. You're very happy-go-lucky. There's a lovely, I want to say, just glowy, sunshiny energy about you. You're a little ray of sunshine. You know, it was a real, okay, this hurt bad, but I'm not going to let it beat me. Again, warrior energy. So there was a powerful transformation in early adulthood. And then there was this, you know, look at this. The sun is still shining, even though there is a tear in its eye. And I feel like you just kept marching. And children do this, don't they? Because they don't have the intellectual understanding, they're not able to process their feelings in meaningful ways. They tend to just get on with things. You know, they'll have the biggest meltdown and they'll be like, right, let's go and play some more now. You know, they move on very quickly. And so we can see that despite this wounded energy, you just kind of picked yourself up, dusted yourself off, and you carried on. But you became very insular as a result. Your emotions became something that you could comfortably pack away, and that allowed you to be quite avoidant and pragmatic in relationships. And so you're always looking for this big spark, the big feels, but I do feel that you often don't give yourself space in new connections to allow that to grow, because your heart takes time to open up, and yet you're making these knee-jerk decisions about there being no spark or no chemistry. We've got the Hanged Man here, clarified by Hermit, surrendering to singledom. At some point you had enough shit days to decide, I am better off on my own. And so we can see how that decision, that limiting belief, caught up with you over the course of a series of heartbreaks. So I really do feel that, you know, one thing you would really benefit from at this stage in your life is allowing yourself permission to go back, reflect on those relationships, reflect on the feelings that arose, and work with them. You know, this means just holding space for it. You don't even have to do anything special. Journal about it even. You know, write it as like you would a story. No one has to see it, but it's allowing yourself to remember how it felt. And once you've expressed it, I want you to look at it from the perspective of, how would I respond to a friend that just shared this with me? And then write a letter to yourself. You know, you were never any of those things you thought you were at that time. Be real with yourself about the areas in which you could be accountable to your own behaviours. It's not about blame, it's about seeing who we really are, who the other person really is. And it's about doing it from a heart-centered love. You know, no judgment, no disapproval, no blame. Just how was it really? How did I really feel? What stories was I telling myself? You know, what new and unhelpful limiting beliefs was I creating as a result of this experience? That might sound like I'm not good enough. You know, they always leave me in the end. Everybody cheats. They're always deceitful. So many limiting beliefs that added up. Look at the weight on top of this owl and the way it's kind of clinging on to these knots. Bearing in mind up here it's in the tree all seeing. Over here it's kind of been squashed in. And again, the storyteller is born, the hermit. Isn't it interesting? It's called the storyteller. I've only just noticed that. You know, our beliefs are a collection of the stories we've heard and the stories we've created for ourselves. That's what our beliefs are made of. Most of the time, they're not real. You know, you have to start asking yourself, what do I know about this to be true? You are single because you unwittingly chose to be. And you mustn't beat yourself up for that, because you've been doing your best, and you know what? You've done great. You're still a super attractive person in every sense of the word. You are a brilliant catch. You're successful, you're independent, you've got the sunniest disposition, you're practical, you make magic happen. You know, you are a lovely, lovely person with a kind and warm and generous heart. There are people out there like you. You know, at what point did you start being so cynical? You know, you can't assume that your heart is too pure for the rest of the world. I know that's not the perspective that you were seeing it from, but I say it in that way so you can understand how ridiculous it is to say, there's no one that's right for me. You know, I'm destined to meet the bad ones, the naughty ones, the uncommitted ones, that maybe I'm just meant to be on my own. You know, you've been holding these little pity parties and dwelling in that loneliness, not realizing that you're manifesting more of the same. And I feel like this is going to be really easy for you to shift. So let's have a look, shall we? Let's see what the guidance is coming through. And I can't help but ask, well, what's next? What is the potential in love for you? Look at that, the 10 of Cups. Now, if ever you were looking for reassurance, this is it. This is it. This is the uni energy, and this is dreamy, romantic love. This is literally the universe saying to you, love will come. Trust. You weren't meant to be on your own. You've been unwittingly choosing to be. So what's the guidance for you? Let's get some more cards, pile 3. Okay, so we've got the 2 of Swords. We've got the 6 of Pentacles. We've got Temperance. Again, so many upright energies. You saw me shuffle these. We've got the Chariot. Okay, let's get some Oracle cards as well. I'm going to get some of these. This is Enchanted Blossoms. And we're going to look at that dog card. I don't know why I haven't looked at it until now, but I'm trusting there's a reason for that. Maybe it needed to come into guidance. Right, Generosity, Honeysuckle. Tranquility, Stonecrop, Apollo. And Friendship, Freesia, Green-veined Charaxes. And from, let's get some more animals. This is Colette Baron Reed, Spirit Animal Oracle. Okay, right, we've got the White Raven Spirit, Trust in the Magic. We've got Turkey Spirit, Give with Gratitude and Grace. And we've got Giraffe Spirit, See the Big Picture. Okay, so this is the Fool. It's new beginnings. It's taking a leap of faith. It's everything and nothing all at once. It's innocence, absolute innocence. And there's a certain playfulness about this, isn't it, with it being a dog? Remember, dogs are also companions. they are also loyal and supportive and comforting. So I really feel like you're being asked to lean into the comfort of knowing that everything is going to be okay. Now that you're aware that you have been unconsciously choosing the opposite of what it is that you desire, you have an opportunity to put it right, to end the scrolls of indecision that are causing you to write a future you're not aware of. You know, the Six of Pentacles is also asking you to stop measuring every interaction by what you can get from it. So reciprocity is important to you. You want to see that your energy and effort in a relationship is matched. But it can't always be identically matched. As human beings, we are not wired to give fully of ourselves every second of every day. Sometimes we need to pull back for various reasons. That might be 1 month we're really good at keeping up the tempo and moving, you know, with the energy of reciprocity. It might mean the next month we get bogged down with a horrific work project and pressure, or a family problem, or something else. Perhaps we're hurt or we're sick and we just can't keep up. Life cannot always be balanced. I do feel that you're being asked to recognize that about relationships. There are going to be ups and downs, and if you can't give yourself and your potential partner opportunities to navigate those, then you're being far too rigid for a balanced connection to be made. It's interesting to me that though this card is about reciprocity and equal give and take, and it often indicates or is illustrated as an imbalance, but here we see that balance. We see differences, but we see balance. And so it's reminding you that everything balances out in the end when two people are committed to showing up for one another. And indeed, this is followed by temperance. Here it's referred to as the golden flower. We can see butterflies, symbols of transformation, and we've got the two fish, which is Pisces energy, although temperance is usually Aquarius. So, you know, you've got to remember that balance is something that is created over time as well. As I said, things can't be balanced by the second, minute, hour, or day. It's something that is created over time. The Chariot is learning to trust the inner compass. And I think this is a part of you that you've been disassociated from since you closed off to your emotional body. So this healing we've suggested doing of revisiting your experiences of heartbreak and pain, processing the emotions, telling yourself new stories based upon them. This is what's going to give you access back to your inner compass, the part of you that always knows what is right for you, the part of you that's always tugging you in the right direction. White Raven, trusting the magic, you know. And this is a number 6 card, 2 sixes in fact, which is the energy of love and the lovers. So I really feel like the universe is always conspiring, especially with the Chariot showing up, to move you in the direction of this fulfilling relationship. You are a very old ascended soul. You've had lots of really, really tough lives. And I'm not saying you haven't suffered in this lifetime. You have. Everyone suffers. But on a scale or spectrum of suffering, you've done the hardest suffering in your previous incarnations. It's behind you. You know, you're wrapping up the tail ends of this. And when we are in the latter stages of our earthly incarnations, you know, you are becoming more and more enlightened, more and more heart-centered in your focus. I do believe that this is a lifetime in which you are asked to spiritually and emotionally master your own heart, to master yourself. And you have worked so hard to create space in which that can happen. You have bought yourself the security of material success and stability. And you have worked so hard to, you know, have room in which you can now grow and start focusing on your personal growth. You know, you've worked very hard. Now it's time to turn your attention toward yourself and make you a priority and focus. And I really think your life is going to transform immeasurably when that happens. I think as well, when it comes to relationships, we've got give with gratitude and grace. There's a part of you that feels quite bitter when you feel your giving is being taken for granted or not adequately reciprocated. And I do think that you're being encouraged to just recognize every interaction as a happy bonus and a step closer to what you do want, rather than seeing it as a waste of your time. It's kind of like you know, to get to where you want to go, there's lots of stepping stones, and the stepping stones can seem irrelevant, but each of them is a chain reaction towards what you actually want. This is how you need to perceive dating. You know, rather than, oh God, what a waste of time, I wish I hadn't bothered, why do I always get the frogs? You need to start thinking of this through, wow, I'm one step closer to the person that's right for me. I've just ticked another off my list. I've learned a little bit more about what I don't want. You know, you need to start appreciating the opportunities that you have rather than resenting and resisting them. It's just a shift in perspective. This is why you're being asked to see the bigger picture. And with generosity, I feel like actually there's a shadow aspect with this, because it comes up as the black and white butterfly, and lilies are also symbolic of grief. And I do think you give a lot more than you should, often because of guilt, often because you feel bad that you have more than others. And so there is a tendency to overgive and then be frustrated when you don't get your needs met. Kind of like, well, I gave so much and you can't even do this little thing for me. You know, it creates this imbalance and expectation of entitlement. And yet that overgiving was always your decision. So, you know, you do need to learn to hold back a little bit. When we overgive, we tip the balance anyway. It can make the receiver, who perhaps can't show up and reciprocate equally at this time, it can make them feel very uncomfortable. And so, you know, that creates a gulf and they start to react differently. You could argue, well, if they were more of a person, they wouldn't. But that's not real life. We are all moved. As I said, the overgiver creates an imbalance in every situation, and they're now making it the receiver's problem to deal with. It didn't have to be there in the first place. So the overgiver must take some responsibility. You know, hold back a little bit. You don't have to rush in and make the grandest effort. You too can take your time and get to know somebody. We've also got tranquility. And I do think this is about giving yourself the gift of peace, recognizing, you know, that you always have access to that choice. Peace is a state of being, and one that as a person who is becoming enlightened and awakened, that you need to learn to master. So meditation, mindfulness, even moving meditations like yoga are going to be really beneficial for you. We've also got friendship. And I think this is asking you to lean more in to the companionship that is available to you, to recognize how full of love your life already is. And can you really enjoy that now that you know that the loving relationship you want is on its way to you? Rather than wishing it was just here already, can you take a moment to really appreciate where things are, to give yourself permission to be fully immersed in your present rather than wishing that you were somewhere else? So let's get some final guidance cards. Now I want to take this over to extended, and I want to look more at this love potential and understanding more of the whys so that you can get more of the hows. But from this deck, this is the Whispers of Love deck. We've got miracles and blessings. And it says everything has its gift. Oh, 2 came out, so we're going to keep them both. We've got turn on your heart light, reflect on a time when you experience love, and a tender touch can mean so much. And from the charm bowl, oh, there's one stuck there. Okay, I think we've got quite a few here. So we have the cookie. I believe that's an Animal Crossing cookie. We've got black like my heart. We've got, oh, another Animal Crossing. This is Celeste. She is the astrologer owl in Animal Crossing. She gives you cool little astrology things and space things. We've got 111. It's the numbers of awakening. We've got the FU Scrabble pieces. And we have, what's this? Don't let the muggles get you down. Harry Potter reference there. And we've got the moth. I love these energies. This is beautiful. Miracles and blessings. Everything has its gift. We've already touched upon this pile 3. You know, this was about you recognizing that, you know, just appreciate the present, appreciate the magic of what your life has been. You have led a largely charmed life. You've been so lucky. You've had so many blessings, so much love around you, so much abundance, security, stability, and love. You know, the universe is literally going to gift wrap this and bring you your dream person. But in the meantime, you're being asked if you can awaken into the beautiful reality and magic of just being alive, of being present with all of that. You know, it's like, here's the biscuit, take it. You know, gobble it down, taste how wonderful it is, sit in that energy of gratitude and grace, and trust that everything that is meant to be making its way to you already is, if you let it. Black like your heart, and then turn on your heart light. You know, I do think it's going to be challenging for you to reconnect with your emotional self, and you're going to need to give yourself the time and space in which to do that, which is why I think that journaling exercise we discussed is so important. And it does say here, reflect on a time when you experienced love. You have to revisit all of those experiences, and each time you're going to feel your heart open up that little bit more. I think with Celeste coming up, definitely check out your astrology. I personally would recommend K Moon. She is on YouTube, K as in the letter, and then Moon. She is on YouTube. She's absolutely brilliant, and the last I checked, she does offer private readings. But something about your astrology might reveal part of this struggle, and also I think it will show you where that union transit, when that new love connection is coming in. 111 is symbolic of awakening. You know, this is asking you to recognize that you are meant to be leaning into your spiritual gifts, not everybody else's. You know, all of the answers are in you, and you have this innate power to manifest and create. You're like a natural born witch. And I'm hearing you don't like that word. You don't want to be the woo-woo one. Look at this. Don't let the muggles get you down. I feel like, you know, you've always tried to fit in, to be normal, to try not to be the weirdo. And it all sits very uncomfortably with you. But it doesn't have to be weird. And it can also be really private and personal to you. Give yourself permission to flex within it. The FU Scrabble pieces, I feel like it's remembering to put your mind in order, to recognize that you are not your thoughts and you are not your beliefs. You are the soul that is aware of them and can consciously transform through that awareness. Physical touch, a tender touch can mean so much. This is definitely the suggestion of allowing yourself, even casual relationships. You know, sometimes just scratching the itch can help relieve the anticipation. And I do think that maybe you have closed yourself off or set very rigid boundaries around the energy of more casual connections that could, you know, feel really good to you, even if they weren't destined to be long term. But I really hope this has been helpful, Pile 3. If you'd like to join me over the extended, the link's down below. As I said, we're going to dig into more of what's going on there with love and more of the whys. But thank you for joining me here. I appreciate you guys so much. Oh God, I've just remembered I haven't done your roomie card. Okay, I nearly forgot this for part 1. Hopefully you're still here. Right, so this was the final guidance card I was doing for each of you. They are actually pretty long. Okay, you've got number 6, 1, which is really interesting given the topic of independence. And I'm going to read this from the book, just because the book is so beautifully written. Here it is. Oh no, that's not right. It's number 6, isn't it? I beg your pardon. Here it is. I have abolished duality for myself, or from myself. I have seen the two worlds as one. One I seek, one I know, one I see, and one I call. You look for me, and what do you see? You. Am I playing games with you? Holding a mirror up for you to behold God? Yes, these are games of love and truth. Look for me and find yourself, for I am you and you are me, and together we are one. Playing hide and seek in love's great playground. Oh, I love this so much. Like molten gold poured from the furnace of divine love into a one-of-a-kind mold, you are created uniquely and of divine essence. You are both the lover and the beloved. There is no aspect of your life separate from your spiritual journey, and there is no aspect of you that is not of divine origin. So then, why the frowning, the fear, or the questioning? Let me share a sublime secret with you. Let me whisper it into your heart now. There is nothing to fear. All is unfolding according to the divine genius, and there is a sweet shift in store for you. No matter how dire circumstances may appear to be, or despairing you may feel, there is still an avenue through which fulfillment and resolution will be granted. This will happen. That is because the divine seeks wholeness of the one. That means anything and every part of existence, and that includes you and all aspects of your being and life, is claimed by the divine. Your return to the divine is demanded. Every part of you, every life circumstance. The divine keeps rigorous, flawless accounts. Therefore, nothing shall be left unaccounted for, not even that which seems to be outside attention and grace at this moment. You must remember that you are a living heart, the dweller at the center between heaven and earth, star and soil, light and dark. If you cannot summon the joy to rise up and meet the divine beloved, fear not. The cunning lover lies deep within the depths, waiting to gather you into sacred embrace as you descend into darkness. Either through flying or falling, you shall be caught and tangled up in divine embrace. So fear not. Cast aside worry and concern. Know that you are thoroughly itemized on the divine ledger, and not one moment of your struggle or suffering shall miss the hawk-like gaze of the ever-attentive and heavenly beloved. This oracle comes to you with particular guidance. There is a friction or conflict within you or your life right now, a sense perhaps of being pulled in more than one direction and confusion because of this. You are questioning which path to take, this way or that way. Isn't that wild? What if you choose this path and it turns out the other would have been better? But how can you know what choice, if any, is most needed in your life? So many questions. Your mind is scurrying. There is no other word for it. Backwards and forwards it goes, to and fro, trying to settle upon the truth. I love you too much to allow this to continue unchecked. Surrender. Give it up. The truth you seek is this: you shall be. You shall manifest your destiny just as the acorn grows into the oak tree. You cannot be other than what you are, and as you accept this, life responds. It breathes and relaxes around you so that what you need can come to you more easily. It finds you, drawn to the need in you that is natural and inviting, and not a cause for anxiety or distress. The need leads to satiety. What is desired and what fulfills the desire is one. They are lovers that come to each other naturally, even through darkness and confusion. Drawn to each other, following the natural course of the universe to become one. So do not fret and fear, my beloved. Do not hold back from that which feels incomplete out of anxiety or distress. It's just the lover that will soon be joined by the beloved. You are recognizing this moment before it occurs. So fret not, and instead let that inner love loose. Allow her to shake out her hair, put on her most sensuous perfume, and laugh as she dances barefoot in fields of lush grass and fragrant flowers. Let her tempt her beloved to come close, because she can be seen, she can be heard, and her movement sends her scent through the air. She entices the yearning beloved to her, and soon they meet, and it becomes possible for, yet again, two to become one, and then there will be wild peace and ecstatic contentment within you. If there is any part of you struggling to surrender the conflict between old and new, between what has been and what needs to be, between passion and duty, creativity and rationality, between this role or identity, then know this: even the conflict serves. Don't choose either one and believe it is the answer. Sometimes the sacrifice is not one or the other, but the idea that it can be only one or the other. At another level, a divine resolution, there is beyond the apparent polarity and conflict, a third way, the rising up to where there is only one perfection taking place constantly. Open your heart. You'll find the bridge to understanding and trusting in that perfection there, where it has always been and will always be. Don't worry. All is happening exactly as it should. This oracle brings your particular guidance. There is a resolution and a perfect coming together of elements in your life that might have seemed disparate or in conflict. Something you have been trying to integrate is so very nearly ready to click into place. Perform the sacred honoring ritual and stay with your process. The coherence, the integration, the balance and coming together you seek is on your horizon, approaching you swiftly now. I love this so much. Sacred honoring ritual. Place your hands at your heart and say aloud, Rumi who loves me unconditionally. I gaze into my heart and you are there. I gaze into your heart and see my own face. We are one, and this oneness is contagious. May it swiftly affect every aspect of my inner world, so that my outer existence aligns gently with perfect harmony with the great divine beloved. You and I are one with the perfection of divinity unfolding now and always, through grace and my own free will, so be it. And when you are ready, place your hands in prayer position and bow your head in reverence and recognition to the one divine plan unfolding. Say, I surrender into the one truth of divine perfection, which includes my own divine destiny now. Through mercy and grace, so be it. And when you are ready, simply close your eyes and bow your head again. And then you have completed your ritual. And there it is for those of you that want to screenshot it. Absolutely beautiful oracle deck and accompanying book. I hope that was helpful, Path 3. I'm sorry I almost forgot that card. Hopefully I'll see you at the extended, but thank you for joining me here. Thank you for your likes, your beautiful comments, and thank you for hitting the subscribe button so we can be friends. I appreciate it so much. And you can find me also over at happysouls1111.com and happysouls1111 on Instagram. You can book classes and readings with me and see what crystal give madness I am up to. I'll see you next time. Lots of love. Bye. Hello, Path 4. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Stag, the Charoite Star, and the White Numen Tarot. And today we're asking, why did you have to go through this? This isn't an easy reading, but for those of you that are on the healing path, it is an important one. You know, we all hang on to things that hurt us and we all suffer. It's one thing all humans have in common. And when we harbour resentment, regret, hurt, grief, all of those ill-dignified energies, it distorts who we are. It impacts the relationships we're having. It affects how we communicate. You know, it really does create waves in our life. So understanding why we went through things and being able to reconcile and reframe those experiences in a positive way is a really important and valuable method of helping us move on, helping us process the lessons that were being presented. Everything that happens to us is purposeful, including the really hard stuff. I think that's fairly obvious because, you know, we all suffer. So it teaches us, it helps us grow, it helps us become our best selves. Let's see what's coming through for you, Path 4. We're using the oracle cards today as well and the divination charms. And there will be an extended for those of you that resonate with this one. Right, the first card out is the 10 of Swords in reverse. And then we've got the King of Wands in reverse. We've got the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. We've got the Queen of Cups in reverse. And the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. So a lot of blocked energies. Some people comment about the reversals saying, oh, you didn't shuffle properly, there's too many. You do see me shuffle on screen. I shuffle off screen too. But reversals help us see where the blockages are. They're not a bad thing. So if you're triggered by that, please be reassured that it just helps me read with more accuracy. It's not a bad thing. Right, 10 of Swords in reverse, clarified by the Lovers. King of Wands in reverse, clarified by the Fool. Queen of Pentacles in reverse, clarified by the Sun. Queen of Cups in reverse is clarified by the Hermit. Look at that, these are all upright. The 5 of Pentacles in reverse is clarified by the 8 of Wands. Okay, let's get some oracle cards as well. I'm just going to move those up a touch as well. Right, so the first oracle deck I'm going to use is this one. This is the Spirit Animal Oracle. We've got Elephant Spirit, learn from the past. Nightingale Spirit, love is all around. And Lion Spirit, be generous of spirit. And from this deck, this is the Oracle of Seven Energies. This one was actually a gift from Nikia. Thank you so much, Nikia. You are such a sweet treat. I love getting decks from you guys. You're so generous in that respect. If you would like to donate a deck as an energy exchange, help keep my readings fresh, you can always find a link to my Amazon wishlist down below. We've got the Oracle's Gift and the Uncharted Sea. I'm sure that came up for one of the other piles. Okay, pile 4. In terms of what it was that you went through, starting with the Ten of Swords in reverse, clarified by the Lovers, is undoubtedly being stabbed in the back, betrayed, deceived. It's some kind of really painful heartbreak, likely a love triangle, but you really didn't see this coming. It feels like this person was also quite narcissistic. There was a very domineering, controlling, coercive energy about them. They misappropriated their power. They were a very charming, very confident person, but they're also someone that always gets what they want and was raised by narcissists. So, you know, they have a real hard job recognizing their behaviors as toxic or dysfunctional. And I'm hearing that you were gaslit so intensely. You know, you were made to feel absolutely crazy and paranoid for your suspicions. I don't normally read the fool literally, as in the fool, you know, you're being a fool, but that's how I feel this person treated you. You know, I feel that they really did pull the wool over your eyes and try and convince you for the longest time that they weren't doing anything wrong, and that you were so destructive in your suspicions, that you were hell-bent on wrecking things or ruining things. And there's no smoke without fire. I do think you had very good reasons to be suspicious, but because there was never any evidence and there was never any absolute proof that you were right, you swallowed their lies whole every single time. And this is so tragic, because when we have to lie to ourselves, when we're forced to question our own reality, our own integrity, our own truth, we slowly fall out of sync with our own inner compass. We learn that we can't trust ourselves. We learn that our hunches, our instincts, our thought process is wrong, distorted and skewed. And so someone that constantly denies your reality, denies your suspicions and gaslights your intuition is doing far more damage than just cheating on you and deceiving on you. They're actually forcing you to completely destroy your inner sense of awareness, and it's very, very debilitating. You've come out of this relationship feeling like you're the broken one. You've come out of this relationship feeling so full of self-loathing. We can see with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, clarified by the Sun, that this also connects back to a mother wound. You had a narcissistic parent who also gaslit you, who could never accept their own wrongdoing, who blamed everything on you, who made their feelings your responsibility. And despite this, you have such a big and generous heart. You've always had a natural sense of right from wrong and couldn't understand why people were so mean, and you want to see the best in everybody because your own parent misjudged you. They made you feel like such a bad person, but you knew inside that you weren't. You knew that you weren't all of the bad things they were saying. So you're really careful about, you know, reprimanding other people, telling them how they've hurt you. And you're really quick to forgive because you know how painful it is to be misjudged. And so all of this combined has created this perfect storm of you being so disempowered in romantic relationships. We can see with the Queen of Cups in reverse as well that there's no emotional regulation. And what I'm seeing about this person is that not only did they lie to you, not only did they gaslight you, but they also subjected you to what's known as reactive abuse. And that's when someone pokes you and pokes you and pokes you until you explode. And then you're the asshole. You're the one having the big reaction. You're the one that's so angry. But can you understand that that part of you that's exploding is the part of you that knows you're right, the part of you that is furious at the injustice, the part of you that is, you know, screaming to be heard, to be recognized, to be validated. And this person was just so toxic for you. They weren't able to see themselves. They weren't able to be accountable to themselves. We can see with the Five of Pentacles in reverse as well, that there is this profound energy of rejection and abandonment, and that every connection that you've had seems to go south in the same way. People seem to take advantage of you, to abuse your trust, to abuse your generosity, to deny your reality and your suspicions about them. You're very thorough when it comes to addressing your concerns or feelings with someone. You know, you're very quick to remind them that it's just how you feel. You're not trying to start an argument. You try every which way to communicate. Sorry, I've just got to adjust that. From a place of peace and equanimity. You know, you really do approach these conversations with the intention of resolving things, and you create a safe space in which that other person can be honest. But it's not your fault that they couldn't meet you on that bridge. You've got to stop internalizing and personalizing other people's toxicity. You left this relationship feeling so crippled by self-loathing, so alone, and you're very quick to blame yourself. You know, you're a very self-aware person, but because you've been abused so harshly, that self-awareness has been turned against you. Because these people close to you knew that you are able to take responsibility for your own behaviors, they made you take responsibility for theirs too. This is the energy of, I know they're going to eat humble pie if I blame them and make them feel bad enough, so I'm going to lay all this on them. It's your fault that this happened. It's your fault that we're not getting along. You're too needy, you're too desperate, you're too suspicious, you're too jealous, you're too much of everything. Well, powerful, you were never too much. I'm so sorry that you had to go through this. This is such brutal and painful energy. It just feels like you've existed in a very harsh world around very, very harsh people. And so why did you have to go through this? Learn from the past, elephant spirit. And this is number 25. 2 is the High Priestess. 5 is the Hierophant. It's the energy of change and transformation. Combined, it adds up to 7, which is the energy of divinity. Learn from the past. The only thing you need to take responsibility for here, pile 4, is why you keep showing up in these relationships. That's the part that's on you. It's not your fault they were horrible. It's not their fault they lied and coerced you. It's not their fault, your fault that they were deceitful. It's not your fault that they cheated. None of those things are your fault. But the part you have to be accountable to is why you stayed in these relationships and why you aren't learning by those mistakes. This isn't about beating you up or blaming you. It's about empowering you to change the record, to shift your perspective so that you're no longer subjected to this kind of tomfoolery. I do feel that because it's so deeply ingrained and it occurred during that very vulnerable childhood period where we're being so powerfully programmed by our caregivers, that this is what's made it so difficult for you to see. You don't have healthy boundaries. And because you've been so hurt and so wounded and so rejected and so abandoned, you also have a very pessimistic outlook on love. It's almost like you're anticipating that that will happen every time. And you're not realizing that in doing that, in holding this expectation that everything will be destroyed, that everything, won't work out, and this deep fear, this insecurity, you're actually perpetuating more of the same cycle, attracting more of the same, because our beliefs matter. Our beliefs co-create our tomorrow. Everything we believe and feel is an ingredient being thrown in the bowl that's baking the very next day of your life. And so when we are going into relationships, trying desperately to keep our rose-tinted glasses on, trying not to see all the bad stuff, trying to be hopeful, but deep down inside of us fearing the absolute worst, we've already wrecked things before we've even began. In thinking and feeling that way, you are setting yourself up for more and more of the same. You're attracting more and more of the same into your life. So you may have seen this cycle repeat a number of times. You know, you may find that you seem to attract the bad people that are narcissistic, that do gaslight you, that do treat you badly, that don't know how to show up in a loving way. But love is all around. You know, the universe wants to reassure you that you were born with a big loving heart for a reason. You know, you were always able to cut through the meanness. You were always able to rise above it. And even though you have been hurt so badly, you haven't resorted to hatefulness. You haven't resorted to the kind of ill behavior that other people around you have. You have risen above it every time. You are so much stronger than you realize. I do feel like anger has been a problem for you, but I want to make that okay for you, because anger is the part of you that loves you. Anger is the part of you that knows you deserved better, but you do need to process this anger, because it feels like you've reached a stage in your life right now where anger is becoming a destructive force in your connections. You're very quick to temper. You've got a zero tolerance for people being shirty with you. It just feels like you've finally hit the end of your rope. You've stretched as far as you can stretch. And now it's like that bad bitch is coming in to give everyone what for. You've literally swung from one extreme to the other, from being this victim, this sad little thing that didn't know how to assert themselves, to being this extremely angry person that will lash out furiously at the first sign of betrayal or mistreatment. And it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? You probably feel like you can't win, but asserting yourself isn't about anger. Anger is a feeling that we're meant to recognize and experience. It's a feeling that we're meant to react to. But when we are constantly angry, that's indicative of your nervous system having been broken and stuck in a cycle of pain. It reveals unresolved and unprocessed anger that's still hanging around from times past. And this is why you have become so bent out of shape, you know. And I'm hearing you say, I feel like you've met someone else who's very kind, but they're getting all of your anger. And I'm hearing you say, I wish I could take back all the love I gave to all those horrible people and give it to this person. But for some reason, I'm just so angry. You know, I can't contain it anymore. It spills out of me in every direction. Sometimes you wonder if these people infected you, if they cursed you, if they hexed you. It feels like you were given this horrific prison sentence of lifelong pain and fury because of how you were treated, and you just don't know how to shake it. But this is a normal reaction. It's a post-traumatic stress reaction, and all you actually need to do is now give yourself space to resolve the anger, you know, and trust that it is meant for you, that you were meant to go through this. Now, the card you chose is the Stag, the Nine of Pentacles. This is about material self-sufficiency. So, you know, you're also being challenged to take ultimate care of yourself. We saw the Hermit show up. I feel that you've always been fairly good at being independent because you were left alone a lot as a kid, left to your own devices. You had to entertain yourself, but you've always longed for and been desperate for that teammate, that best friend, that companion that's always there with you through thick and thin. I feel like if you hadn't had these experiences, one, you wouldn't have developed the big full heart and the sense of intense justice that you possess, but also you wouldn't have been able to show others. And I do think you were given this big mountain so that you could, you know, literally be a tour guide for others that were going to need to climb it in future. You are definitely a natural healer. You're a natural empath, and empaths always have a rotten time in the world when they are subjected to harsh things, because they feel it all. They feel it so big. But can you understand that that was always a blessing, even though for you, most of your life, it has felt like a curse? I feel like some of you have also fallen into some kind of twin flame or soulmate situation, and that has further exacerbated your anger. Because it's like, after everything, after all these crap relationships, why am I now being tasked with having to do this crazy spiritual journey? Why do I have to heal myself? Why do I have to make so much effort? Why can't I just have a normal relationship with a happy, healthy person? You know, so many whys, so many frustrating resentments within you about everything that you're experiencing now. The universe wants to remind you not to let these energies beat you. You know, yes, you've been crushed over and over again. Yes, it was really harsh. But the fact that your heart has bounced back and remains open is such a gift. It says here the Oracle's gift, and I do feel that you're very intuitive. You know, you have a sixth sense for what's really going on with people. But the emotional dysregulation that you experience distorts your ability to channel and intuit clearly. And so when you start to heal yourself, you unlock so much abundance. The Queen of Pentacles comes upright, and that will also heal the fury that you feel towards your caregiver, the mother wound. You know, at some point we have to grow up and realize, okay, well, my parents sucked, but they did their best, and now it's on me. It's so empowering to do that, to let go, to forgive, to let them off the hook. You know, people don't love us the way we need because of their own limitations. And I know it's hard for you to accept that, but I'm going to ask you to think of all the times in which your love has fallen a little bit short. And if you're arguing, well, it never has, I always love big, you're not being honest and realistic, because sometimes we don't have the capacity to love in the way we're capable of. We don't, because we're struggling in different ways. We've all let people down and not given them what they think they needed from us in a moment. Even the kindest, most loving people sometimes have to say no, or sometimes are unable to show up in the way that they would like to. So if you were arguing against that statement, there's the first sign that you are not necessarily always seeing yourself, that your self-awareness has become so distorted in ways that you beat yourself up for some perceived wrongs that these idiots that you've been in relationships with point out, but you don't necessarily see the real dysfunction that actually needs your attention. It's such a confused energy where you've been pulled this way and that way, and your intuition and self-awareness, as I said before, has become so bent out of shape that you just couldn't see the wood for the trees. I do feel that you would also argue that you've tried healing, you've tried doing this, you've tried fixing that, you've tried loving yourself, you've tried following this spiritual journey, and it doesn't work. That's how you're thinking about it. There's this strong energy of resistance, and again, this fury that you're even having to go through this. But I'm hearing with the uncharted sea that you haven't tried everything. Of course you haven't. It's not possible to try everything. And also, trying isn't doing. Trying is such a half-hearted attempt. It's, well, I'll give it a go, but you know, it's probably not going to work. What you need to say is, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. There are 1,000,001 different ways, and one of those will work for you. Many of them might work for you, but it's about being committed to the task. I am going to heal myself. I accept it's possible, and I recognize that it's going to be valuable and life enhancing for me. Even though you have been so wounded, pile 4, it's your responsibility to heal you. No one's going to come and rescue you and fix it. We see this in the movies where that depressed person that's had such a terrible life gets whisked off their feet by this amazing knight in shining armor and rescues them, and they live happily ever after. That isn't real life. We have to rescue ourselves. No one else can really heal us anyway, even with the greatest will in the world. And whilst it's true that having a loving, supportive partner can enhance our ability to heal, until we're healed, the chances of attracting a loving and supportive and healthy partner are very slim. So if that's what you're holding out for, you know, if you're thinking I'll be happy and I'll feel good again when someone restores my faith in love, when someone comes along and makes it better and makes me feel valued for who I am, listen, it could happen, but it's unlikely to. And you don't want to put that power in someone else's hands or in the hands of fate or Cupid. You know, you need to take this power. It's not your fault you were wounded so badly. It's not your fault you were hurt, but it is your responsibility to make it better. And I know that feels shit. It's like someone came along and wrecked things, and now you've got to put the pieces back together. But that's how it is. You know, this is what Spirit is calling you to recognize. And it's reminding you that when you bring your life into balance, you'll be able to lean into the kind of abundance that you always dreamed of. You may have grown up with lack, not just lack of love, lack of emotional nourishment, but lack of material things as well. That may have meant that you didn't always have enough food, or the clothes that you needed, or the money you needed for stuff for school. You know, you were raised in a family that went without, and so you learn to accept very, very little for yourself. And I believe this shows up in the jobs you take. You don't value yourself in the workplace. You apply for the lowest paying jobs, and you know, you hate your life in so many ways, but your own belief system is also standing in the way of you making the very real improvements that would enhance your life in really meaningful ways. Deep breath. I feel for you, pile 4. I know this is really hard. So what's the guidance for you? Let's get more of the why and more of the guidance. Okay, we've got the Tower in reverse. We've got the 9 of Pentacles, so that's come up for you again. That was the card you chose. We've got the 2 of Cups in reverse. And we've got the Page of Cups in reverse. And we've got the 4 of Wands. And we're going to clarify these. So clarifying the Tower in reverse, we've got the Page of Swords. Clarifying the 9 of Pentacles, we've got the World. Clarifying the 2 of Cups in reverse, we've got the Devil. Clarifying the Page of Cups in reverse, we've got the Knight of Pentacles. And clarifying the 4 of Wands, we have the 2 of Swords. Let's get some more Oracle cards as well. I'm going to get some of these. This is the Elemental Oracle. Embracing Heron energy. Pleasure, another deer there. And simplicity, the feather. And from the Enchanted Blossoms deck, we've got Joy, Gerbera Daisy. I love those, they make beautiful houseplants. Wisdom, Purple Iris. I think let's get one more. Luck, Bells of Ireland. And I could literally hear you scoff at that, as if I'm lucky. I know you don't feel lucky. I know you feel like you've been really hard done by and cursed, but you are. You're way more fortunate than you believe, because you were born blessed. You were just having to have these hard experiences so you can be shaped into the person you're going to become, which is someone with such a big, beautiful heart and so much potential, someone who is so capable. When we start with the Tower in reverse, clarified by the Page of Swords, we connect with all of that unprocessed conflict from childhood. So the Page of Swords is the immature energy, you know, the youthful part of our mental processing experience. And so when you're raised in an environment where there is intense conflict and verbal abuse, it becomes your normal. And because it's become your normal, you are more inclined to tolerate those kind of behaviors in the relationships that you have. Because to you, love can be toxic. To you, love can be abusive. You were taught that your parents loved you, but they also treated you like dirt. And so naturally, that's going to transfer to your significant relationships as you grow. So there's a real need to cycle back to that period in your life. And I'm hearing that there's some research that needs to be done, because, you know, healthy communication is an alien concept to you. In your heart, you know how you want to communicate. But I think at this stage in your life, with all of that anger rolling around, you're also feeling the challenge of keeping your emotions in check and allowing you to live and communicate from that place of truth and love. And so that does give you some insight into how the people that raised you would have experienced life. You know, they too were violated when they were children. They too were taught unhealthy communication patterns, and they too became good and angry. And so as you grow, you know, you recognize how big and loving your heart is, but you're also recognizing how challenging it is to always be in it, to always show up in a heart-centered way in every conversation, because your emotions, your anger, your hurt often gets the better of you. And I do think this sabotages a lot of your connections, and this is why that reactive abuse becomes so problematic, because the narcissistic people that you're engaging with recognize the degree at which you explode so furiously, and they take gross advantage of that. You know, they use that against you to further undermine and degrade you, and to make you out to be the villain and the bad guy. The Nine of Pentacles clarified by the world, I feel, is asking you to reach higher in your career and your material environment. It's time to close out a cycle of earning that you've been doing, and to literally take the next step forward. You may have been in the same role for a really long time. No one should stay in the same role for more than 2 years. After 2 years, you should be expecting a promotion or a pay rise, or to move up the ladder, because 2 years is sufficient time to master any role, especially the kind of basic and menial ones that you are applying for and working in. And so, you know, the universe is saying you're not recognizing your potential, you're not recognizing your power. You have been so abused and so squished down. It's like you've just been squashed. Your light has been dimmed so harshly that you don't recognize how skilled you actually are. Now, you are a very valuable person in any establishment, because you're diligent, you learn quickly, you get things done, you have an overall really great attitude to your work, you know, but you are being taken advantage of in your workplace as well, and maybe even a victim of your own success. They don't want to promote you because you do so great where you are, and it would be hard to find someone as good as you. So you need to start looking for alternative roles. I really feel as well that now is the time for you to recognize I want to say your gifts and your talents, and to apply for roles that are going to allow you to maneuver through your work by applying those, by bringing that intuition and that powerful natural flair for communication. You do have a natural flair for communication, and I feel it translates beautifully into the workplace, because you're not triggered there. You know, you're not getting as angry. And so definitely this is about material self-sufficiency. This is about learning to hold your own in the world. If you are living with someone or living at home, it is time to move on and move out, to create your own space. You know, one of the decisions we have to sometimes make that is hard is to remove ourselves from people that don't serve our highest good. You know, and if you share a home with someone, that makes it really, really challenging. If you're around someone that is not good for your mental well-being and your emotional well-being, you have to take responsibility for yourself and move away from that. I'm hearing a lot of you say, well, it's just not possible. I don't know how to do that. My circumstances don't allow it. Well, if you can't see a way out, keep looking for one. Don't just decide I can't do anything about it, so I'm just going to suck it up. Keep looking for one. Spend 10 minutes every single day thinking of solutions, and write them down. Write all the ideas down and follow through. You might keep hitting dead ends, but eventually you will hit an open door. You know, don't give up. I really think moving out of the experience you're in the home is going to help you dramatically. The Two of Cups in reverse clarified by the Devil. Now is not a good time to get involved in other relationships. In fact, you're being asked to take care of yourself and your own emotional needs, to pause and observe and study and go slow with relationships, and also to stop being indecisive about the twin flame journey. It feels like you can't accept if you're on it or not. And so it's kind of clouded your judgment, because you're in, you're out, they run, they come back, you're done, now you're not done. It's so up and down. The only thing you need to commit to regards being a twin flame or a soulmate is to yourself and to the healing that occurs as a result of that. You know, this indecisiveness, ignoring your emotions, ignoring your intuition, is what's kept you so stuck. Actually, this Two of Swords is very different to the traditional one. Traditionally in the Two of Swords, we see someone who has their back to the water and the moon, they're blindfolded, their arms are crossed, and they are on dry land. Here we see the person in the water, you know, they've got one knife in their hand, the other's being tossed up in the air. But look at this, this is a giving hand is holding the knife, and the receiving hand doesn't have one. We're also seeing this storm brewing in the background. So a very different kind of indecision to what we see in the traditional Two of Swords. I feel that your inability to receive and to trust that you will and can receive is one of the things that holds you back with your twin. You've already written them off. You've written them off as useless, incapable, unhealthy, but your heart still longs for them. But you can't get off the train. It's okay to dismiss your twin and say, I can't deal with you right now. The energy you're showing up in isn't agreeable to me. But don't get off the journey. You still have to stay on the journey, because it is a journey about you, and that wounded inner child needs you. Now is the time for studying and research. You need to re-educate yourself on what healthy relationships look like. I want to advise you to check out the Holistic Psychologist on Instagram. She's got loads of brilliant content. She's also written a book. I really think that's exactly the kind of information that is going to benefit you. You need to reset your nervous system and process this anger. And that happens when you start observing it, being self-aware, taking responsibility, and studying the alternatives. Right now, if you lean into another relationship, you're going to get more of the same. It's going to be an anxious attachment. You're going to get addicted to it because your heart is hungry. Embrace healing, embrace a new beginning, and don't do things that you don't enjoy. You know, you've got to stop sacrificing yourself for the comfort and benefit of others. You're very easily guilt tripped, you know, and that's how your parents treated you, your family treated you. You did what they wanted because you felt so guilty if you didn't. So, you know, you need to start doing what feels good to you. These are simple changes, but they're going to make the world of difference. You can have joy. You know, you are a deeply wise person that just needs to learn how to regulate themselves. Luck is on your side, even though you don't feel it yet, pile 4. It's going to be okay. Right, we're going to get one of these cards. This is the Rumi Oracle. I'm going to read this card straight from the book because Alana Fairchild, she just writes so beautifully, but also I feel that this deck has a beautiful knack of summarizing the messages in the reading in such a magical way. And we're going to get some divination charms as well. Okay, so we've got Blessing of Al-Hakim, number 40. Just pop that there for a moment. And the charms. Okay, I think we've got enough there. So we have got, oh, I love this one. Not enough sage to purify your BS. And not yours, I think it's talking about the other people. So 3 5s, the numbers of change and transformation and high learning. No idea. Dead inside, but still horny. Oh, some of these are so funny. The police car. Celeste, she is the owl astrologer from Animal Crossing New Horizons. It's a Nintendo game. Don't quit. And the number's 222. So remember we talked about 2 and 5 earlier, the energy of the High Priestess and the energy of transformation and learning. So that's really significant that they came out. But I think you also have to accept that a lot of your exes or the people that have hurt you, they are lost causes. You know, you can't fix them. You've got to stop taking responsibility for making them see how rotten they are, for making them see how wrong they were. It feels like sometimes you just want an apology. You want to be validated. You want that person to say, yeah, it wasn't you, it was me. They're not going to. They can't see that yet. They're not ready to be accountable to themselves. Stop giving your power away. You don't need anyone else to validate you. You don't need them to transform to make it okay. And furthermore, you know, it's like flogging a dead horse. It's not going to stack up for you. These people aren't capable of being that accountable to themselves. I'm just taking my jumper off because I'm really hot and menopause, y'all. Woo, sweating my tits off. Okay, sorry about that. 555. This is what I was saying about higher learning. These are the numbers of change. These are the midway point at which you start learning all those higher lessons in order that you can transform. I know you don't know how to do that yet, but just because you don't know how to do it and you can't see a way doesn't mean it's impossible. You've got to stop thinking there's no way out. There's no way to get through this. There's no way to heal this. There's no way to resolve this. There is always a way. I know it's cliched, but where there is will, there is way. And you need to commit time every day to figuring it out, even if it's just 10 minutes. You've got to investigate this, you know, like you were working for the police. You've got to go into the past and look at all the clues that are available to you. Your person comes back again and again because they're horny, because they want your attention. They want some action. Don't do it. Check your astrology. Celeste is an astrologer. She tells us about the stars and the planets and their movements. There's definitely something in your chart that will help you understand this cycle, but don't quit. Keep going. You are, what was I going to say? You were leaning into all of the intuition and wisdom of the ages that you've always had access to, but has become distorted and skewed because of the way you have been gaslit and betrayed. Blessings of Al-Hakim, number 40. Let's read this one for you. This is such a stunning book. Okay. Sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. Cleverness is opinion. Bewilderment is vision. The gift of wisdom, the blessings of Al-Hakim, gurgles up from your heart. Her blessings is evoked by life like the laughter of a babe, joyfully responding to the playful tickle of the mother's hand. Wisdom can make divine sense of anything, especially of that where logic is blinded. How I revere the blessing of Al-Hakim, of wisdom, for she is precious and welcome to me now and always, the dear friend who brings me such peace. A blessing of divine wisdom of Al-Hakim is being ministered to your soul, watched over by Rumi himself. This is soul medicine. It is a spiritual gift of healing, prophecy, insight, and the capacity to surrender to any impatient claim for what you cannot yet have. Pay attention to that, pile 4. The impatient claim for what you cannot have yet. You just want it all now. You just want the easy relationship, the true love, feeling better, but you have to work for those things. As you receive this gift, this blessing, which happens at a soul level, your attitude to life becomes more curious, open, still, and receptive. You no longer have to drive the unfoldment of your desires into form. You rest in assurance that your daily application and effort is enough, and so is your surrender. Mental anguish is soothed, and you are able to accept the unfathomable nature of divinity in its expression of life itself. You become comfortable with the reality that the price of being closer to the divine is the giving up of your need to always understand. From this place of increasing stillness, great activity will flow. You shall become capable of being the surrendered vessel to the guiding divine hand, and truly great contributions to the human soul evolving can occur through you. So much will simply emerge, erupt, pulsate, and emanate out of you, and yet you will feel within as though you are doing nothing at all, even while so much is happening through you. Such holy paradox shall become your daily experience. You may feel unexpectedly, perhaps, that in some ways your vision for your life and purpose, your divine passion, is clearer than ever before, and in other ways completely unknown to you, a discovery yet to be made. That is as it should be. Wisdom bestows upon us the same capacity to work with the opportunities that are right before us, to release situations and circumstances that have passed, and to allow the future to take its shape according to the ineffable timing of life itself. This oracle comes with special guidance for you. If you are uncertain about an issue in your life, be at peace. There is divine healing that can occur most readily in the unknowing. Follow the sacred honouring ritual and know that all is indeed well, beloved soul. Perhaps you are journeying very deep indeed, and your allegiance to your intellectual mind is softening in favour of allegiance to your heart knowing. You may find yourself craving different company with different interests, or finding the world of opinions and debate rather less to your liking, and the worlds of creative expression more nurturing and nourishing to your essence. If this is the case, this oracle comes as confirmation to trust in the changes you feel within in any and all ways, no matter how insignificant or dramatic they may seem. Know that they are seedlings of a new way that shall grow from one step into entirely new and sacred orientation in your life. You will not necessarily have any idea that how that will happen or what it will look like. This matters not. The acorn becomes the oak because that is its innate destiny. It happens without any active participation apart from a willingness to grow through life. And so it is with the precious blooming now happening within your soul. To know less can bring the greatest gift and blessing of all, to be able to love and therefore live more freely. This oracle comes with special guidance to bring you peace. Look to the old ways, to the ancient wisdom teachings that run as one vein of life, giving love through all traditions. The old wisdoms teach of cycles, of timing, of letting go to allow for new life to happen, and of the greater intelligence and scheme of life to which we must surrender if we are ever to know even a moment's peace. The fire in your belly is a beautiful aspect of you. Just let it be the breath that swirls around and through the heart that ignites it, not the passing, huffing and puffing of the impatient mind. For when the fire in the belly is fanned by the breath of the heart, you shall have peace and dynamic movement, restful stillness and soul-inspired action, all at once. You shall become one with the living holy paradox, and the healing power of your love shall know no bounds. And the sacred honouring ritual, and I'm going to bring this up close so you can screenshot it. Say aloud, I call on the divine presence that loves me unconditionally, and I surrender into your wisdom. Bless me now with the ability to accept your grace, your bounty, and your gift of my life in all its mystery. Help me learn and grow, that I may realise the love that lies within all, including my own being. May I dwell in the loving mystery of sacred compassion. I call upon the wisdom of the ancient ones, those who love me unconditionally and know truth. May your power and knowledge calm my mind and ignite my spirit, so that I may be one with love, empowered in peace and purpose. So be it. Rest. You have completed your sacred honouring ritual. I think that kind of affirms that there's a lot of things that you're not meant to know. There's a lot of things that will simply make sense when you actually surrender to them. So there's a strong message there about not resisting what's happened to you, not hating the lessons. You can't truly love yourself whilst simultaneously hating the experiences that shaped you and brought you here. There's a need to surrender in patience and to lovingly allow yourself the time and space to be curious about your healing and to keep moving forward. Above all else, you need to protect yourself. You need to create boundaries, pile 4. I'm going to take this over to the extended now. I want to know more about this struggle here with this person and how that relates to your twin connection. We saw karmic energies coming up here as well, so I want to dive into that. If you would like to join me there, the link is down below. But thank you so much for joining me here. I appreciate you guys so much. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for hitting the like button and for your beautiful comments. And thank you for subscribing. That means I will see you next time. Lots of love, pile 4. Bye.